With Arkansas now in the SEC, the rivalry is heated up. 3 years ago, Arkansas needed a controversial touchdown catch in the final minute to win in Tuscaloosa by a single point. Last year in Tuscaloosa as well, quarterback Clint Stoerner rallied Arkansas again to a one-point victory in a series that gets better each year. Alabama has never lost in the state of Arkansas, but this year both teams are 2-0 and pointing toward success in the SEC. Hi, everybody. Joel Myers along with Todd Christensen, and welcome to Fayetteville. Tonight, a matchup of a couple of teams on the comeback trail in the Southeastern Conference. Alabama last year 4-7, and 4 of those 7 losses last year, Todd, came in Tuscaloosa. Unheard of when you consider that Bear Bryant in his 25 years only lost twice at home.
Well, Mike DeBose was arguably the least popular man in Tuscaloosa in 1997, but it's amazing when you start 2-0 how much more popular you can be. They have been very good in the first 2 games, but they have been riding the shoulders of Shaun Alexander, their tremendous tailback, averaging over 6 yards a carry, 160 yards a game. He has scored 8 touchdowns. He has been tremendous. He is the bellwether of this Tide offense.
Very youthful look on the sideline now for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Houston Nutt, their first-year head coach, is not even 41 yet. That's about 4 weeks away, and told us yesterday his quarterbacks coach, Joe Ferguson, a rifled 48, was the youngest member of the staff last year, and now he's the oldest member of the new staff.
Well, one of the things they're trying to do is they're trying to have fun. That's the thing that Houston Nutt emphasized, because they've been down for so many years. Now they've started 2-0, and of course the key to their resurgence has been the quarterback Clint Stoerner. He has been tremendous in the first 2 games. 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. He has been the leader. Remember, he was the guy last year, Joel, in the last 2 minutes who threw the winning touchdown against Bama.
It is going to be an emotional SEC opener for the Hogs of Arkansas, trying to beat the Crimson Tide for the first time ever on their home field. Here come the Hogs of Arkansas. We are ready to go. Stay with us, as we'll be right back to Fayetteville.
ESPN2's presentation of SEC football is brought to you by Doubletree Hotels, Guest Suites and Resorts. Sweet dreams from Doubletree. By Gateway. Let's talk about your Gateway. And by America's Pork Producers. Pork, the other white meat.
Welcome back once again to Fayetteville. Joel Myers along with Todd Christensen. Number 22, Alabama, taking on Arkansas. Only the 3rd time, though, that they have ever played in Fayetteville. And let's head down to the 3rd member of our coverage team, Chris Marlowe, down on the sideline. Chris.
All right, thanks, Joel. Coming into the season, Arkansas's #1 concern was shoring up its offensive line. Quite frankly, last year was a disaster. The Hogs rushing for just 56.5 yards per game. That was last in Division 1A, and they allowed a whopping 42 sacks. That was a school record. This season, Hogs are doing much better, thank you. Much improvement, 214.5 yards per game on the ground. Tops in the SEC, only 1 sack allowed, none by the starters. Tonight, you're going to see 2 great rushers for the Hogs. Madre Hill, a speed back, 1,400 yards nearly in 1995. Beset with knee injuries. Now he's back. He's a threat to break one. And Chris Chakuma. He's a power guy. The coaches say they want to get him the ball 20 to 25 times. If these 2 men can rush effectively for Arkansas, I think the Hogs have a definite chance. Back to you.
Well, it's going to take a combination. There's no doubt about that, Chris. The Hogs are going to kick off to start the game. The wind is definitely going to be a factor. It is going to be at the back of Latterette, the place kicker for Arkansas. Fernando Bryant is going to be back deep. Their starting cornerback, along with the little tailback, Arvin Richard. Both long ball threats when we talk about home run threats and special teams play. But Latterette, with the wind at his back, should be able to kick it right out of the end zone. So we're ready to go. The last 2 times that they've gone to Tuscaloosa, Arkansas has been able to win. The last time they played here, though, it was Alabama coming up with the victory. The line drive in and out of the hands of Bryant. He'll stay right there. So the Crimson Tide ready to go from their own 20-yard line with a 2-0 record. John David Phillips, their starting quarterback, a 5th-year senior, only 3 attempts coming into the season. McClintock, the fullback. Shaun Alexander, the exceptional tailback, the senior from Florence, Kentucky. The tight end, a true freshman, Terry Jones Jr. First true freshman to start for the Tide since '91. Jackson, Vaughn, the two wide receivers. And up front, left side, the strength of this offensive line. Inexperience, Samuels, Redmill, Hogan, McDonald, and Cuthbert. But the two that do have experience, the left tackle Samuels and the center Paul Hogan. Single set. And moving the pocket. Almost picked off. It goes into the hands of the wide receiver. Can he hang on? Michael Vaughn, as it was almost taken away. So an interception possibility early, but instead a completion. Strange way to start a game, huh? Michael Vaughn will take it, though. Defensively, it's Randy Gardner along with Cooper, Hale, and Carlos Hall up front in a 4-2-5 alignment for the Razorbacks of Arkansas. They're not a big group, a very fast group, though. Jones and Harris, the only two linebackers, and then the fives of Green, Kennedy, Painter, Barrett, and Flowers. And Kennedy and Painter didn't get to practice much this week due to injuries. 2nd and 5 from the 25 with a deflection to the completion. Alexander struggling past the 28. He gets 4, though. Little crease for 4 yards to the 29. It'll bring up 3rd and 1, 60 seconds into the contest.
One of the things that Neil Callaway, the offensive coordinator for Alabama, has done right away is they've come out with some very different sets. They go 3 wide receivers to one side on the first play. Second play, they come up with a normal 2-back offense with the fullback in motion. They're trying their best to spread the field and make Arkansas cover an awful lot of ground. That has been the effectiveness that Callaway, as you see right there, has been able to do in the first 2 games for the Tide.
Alexander tight formation with McClintock. Will they get there? No. They stop the play completely, loses a half a yard.
And Melvin Bradley was one of the guys there. He is going to be an impact player in this game, Joel. Number 41, 6'2", 260 pounds. He goes up and down the line from nose tackle to defensive end to outside linebacker. He is going to be all over the football.
He just became academically eligible for the second game, but you're right. They said sideline to sideline. He's as good as it gets. The senior goes at 6'2", 260. Punting situation for Daniel Pope, another senior from Alpharetta, Georgia, former walk-on. Back deep for the Razorbacks. It's going to be Trey Amos, the cornerback.
Nice kick.
High and into the wind. It is a good one. Dropped by Moss. He covers it, though. Back at the 28. 44 yards with no return.
Joel, that was into about a 20-mile-an-hour gale. That's why I interrupted you to say that. That was very impressive.
Without a doubt. Stoerner, the starting quarterback, the junior from Baytown, Texas. Great year last year. Branch and Madre Hill, the starters in the backfield. Chikuma will see a lot of snaps, though. Herringer, the tight end, along with Lucas, is the wide receiver. Michael Williams, the other. They've got experience there with the juniors, Lucas and Williams. And up front, 4 seniors, in fact. Abernathy, Brown, Garrett, Bolesworth, their best at right guard. And the only non-senior is the right tackle, Bobby Williams. He's a junior from Jefferson, Texas. Solid field position the first drive of the contest from the 38. Trying to throw on first down. And in and out of the hands of the intended target. He was trying to get it to Michael Williams, the junior from Bastrop, Louisiana. Almost looked like it was in slow motion anyway. 3-4 alignment for Alabama. Carter, White, and Smith. Smith out of Meridian, Mississippi, sophomore. Phenomenal sideline to sideline, very quick. Stanley, Wagner, Carroll, Smith. Stanley, 4 tackles behind the line for losses. Wagner's already got 3 sacks, so they're very deep at the linebacker position. Bryant and Hunter, solid cornerback. Zigler and Dixon are the safeties. And Zigler, a former corner, so a real good cover man from the safety position. 2nd and 10 from the 28. And it's fired out of the missed tackle, complete for a first down. It goes out to Anthony Lucas, the junior from Tallulah, Louisiana, for 16 yards. Busted tackle.
It certainly goes to show that neither offense is being very predictable. Right off the bat, we talked about the fact that they both have 100-yard rushers, but instead, what are they trying to do? They're trying to throw the ball. Lucas, a big play guy, breaks a tackle and cuts up the field. Last week, he had an 87-yard touchdown reception to set an Arkansas record for the longest play in their history. He is a speedster.
Out to the 44, 1st and 10. Moving on the right side, they jump. Madre Hill on the handoff. There was contact by the defensive front. Jamie Carter over on the left side. Now, will it be on the right guard?
We got offsides on the defense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat the down.
Guard came in early. Our left end came in early. Jamie Carter, the junior from Philadelphia, Mississippi.
So many times, Joel, after a big offensive play, a young defensive player wants to make a play right away. He's just a little bit anxious.
So free 5. It'll be 1st and 5 from the 49.
3 wides, Joel.
They want to spread the field. Alabama wants to do the same. It's a split backfield. It's going to be Hill weaving his way for very little. Just past the midfield stripe to the 49 with the flag down to the near side from the linesman. Gain of only 2 for Madre Hill. Hill, a young man who's missed the last 2 years, 96 and 97, with ACL injuries.
Well, the 5 yards they just got, they'll end up taking it back. I'm sure that Alabama is going to take that penalty. Interesting to see the theory in contemporary football, Joe, with regards to the ability to run the football.
Illegal procedure on the offense. 6 men on the line. Repeat the down.
The reason I'm pointing this out is because history has taught that the idea is to get the big people up front, jam it in, have some power. Now, because defenses are geared to speed, the idea is to make them cover more on the field. And so as you spread out the defenses, i.e. the 3 and 4 wide receiver sets, that's supposed to create some creases for the offensive backs.
Mark off of 5, back to the 44. It'll be 1st and 10 all over again. In the eye with 3 wideouts. Hill, big crease. He's into the secondary. Nice cut for a first down. He gets to the outside, all the way inside the 35. Madre Hill bumped out by Zigler. He's got it down to the 33. 22 yards on the game. He's still got that bolt, even though he had those ACLs.
One of the things that we've been talking about is the idea that with a 3 wide receiver set and 2 backs in the backfield, there is no strong set. So the secondary can be confused. Watch the first time he gets touched. Right there, barely. He's already in the secondary, and nobody has laid a hand on him. As you pointed out, Hill still has some speed. You mentioned the fact that he had to overcome some reconstruction on both knees. I'll say he looked pretty good there.
First down, Hill jumping on his back. The defensive end, Gilbert, gets to him. And we head back to the studio. Let's check in with Mike Adamley.
All right, Joel and Todd, the National Home Run Watch continues. In case you missed it, about 45 minutes ago in St. Louis, Mark McGwire regained sole possession of the Major League home run lead, number 67 on the first pitch off of Dustin Hermanson. And in the wild card race, San Francisco won today. They have a half-game lead over the Cubs, a full-game lead over the Mets, who lost to Atlanta. Guys?
All right, Mike. Was 2nd and long. Play fake and in trouble. Good job by the quarterback, but it's deflected and knocked down by Wagner. Right in the quarterback's face. The linebackers got 3.5 sacks already. What a phenomenal job, a junior from Fairburn, Virginia.
You see this play all the time. Every team has it, and that's the misdirection bootleg. But in both cases, Alabama's defense was incredibly disciplined. First is Reggie Grimes, number 98, who was not fooled by the play action. He's in the face of the quarterback, but then he's able to get out of it, throw the ball downfield, and Wagner shows his vertical leap by getting up and batting it down. Otherwise, pretty good game. Take a look at the fake. Now watch to the left of your screen. There he is, Grimes. He's able to get away with it. Check out Wagner getting up in the air and batting the ball down. That's a good job of showing discipline on the part of the Tide defense.
3rd and 10 from the 34. Out of the shotgun. They pick up the first down. Plenty of time over the middle. The man is knocked down from behind, and here comes the flag late. So he went it for the wide receiver, Hubert Loudermilk. He was working down the middle, the seam against the free safety, Kelvin Zigler.
It's going to be an interesting call because one of the side judges came over and said he thought that it was incidental. They got their legs tied up, but that's not what the official saw.
That was the pass well off the mark as well.
And you can see Mike DeBose isn't very happy about that. He's going to say, wait a minute, what's the call? He said, didn't their feet just get tangled up? There was no malicious intent.
On the defense, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Zigler tried to keep up with Loudermilk, the junior from Stuttgart, Arkansas.
Well, as you pointed out, they have the luxury of using Zigler, a former corner, at safety, that he can cover one of those wide receivers so many times, Joel. That's a big mismatch for most collegiate teams. But Zigler, a former corner, also the leading tackler for Alabama, tremendous athlete.
Takes it down to the 18, 1st and 10. This drive started back at their own 28-yard line. Opening offensive series for Arkansas. Movement again. Jumping through early. On the left side, it was Tito Smith, the linebacker.
Dead ball. Encroachment on the defense. 5-yard penalty.
Joel, give Arkansas some credit. You saw Stoerner throwing his arm up in there. He's trying. They're going with some hard counts. This is the second time they've been going to get away with it. Take a look at the head of Stoerner. See that little movement there? A little bit of a bob. You know, John Elway is the guy who's always accused of that, but there's some quarterbacks that are picking up on his tricks. A little bit of the bob of the head. Free 5 yards for the Hogs offense.
Stoerner only a junior, but great experience last year, going for better than 2,300 yards. 1st and 5 from the 13, going for the fade in the corner of the end zone and overshooting the intended target, Anthony Lucas. Stoerner last year threw for better than 2,300 yards. He had 12 TD passes. 13 times he was intercepted, but it was a single season mark for the Razorbacks, breaking the old record held by his quarterbacks coach Joe Ferguson.
Yeah, and it's even more impressive when you realize that he was sacked 42 times during the course of the season. Not just the fact that he's a good quarterback, but he showed such great courage in standing up to an offensive line that obviously was very inept in 97.
Hasn't been picked off so far this year with 4 touchdown tosses. Luxury of a 1st and 5 to go into the end zone. Now what do they do on 2nd and 5? The draw, Hill. Big hole up the middle. He's got the 1st and goal. Down to the 5. I like it. On the delay, 8 yards on the carry for Madre Hill.
Great call. One of the things that they've been doing, of course, is dropping back to pass, and they do this. And as they do this, of course, the front 4 are going to come up the field. They come up the field. That creates the crease right there. Once again, take a look. First time he's touched is about 4 yards downfield. That just can't happen for the Alabama rush defense that heading into this game, Joel, had been outstanding.
Tough running back, the senior from Malvern, Arkansas, breaking for an arm tackle. 6'1", 205, 1st and goal. Hill trying to bounce it to the boundary. Hill takes it down to the 2. Nifty move.
Nifty move, but a good open field tackle by Zigler, because otherwise he walks into the end zone. On his own outside, Zigler in the open field shows his ability. Madre Hill with his quickness is able to bounce to the outside. Now watch, it's just he and number 20. Gonna lower his shoulder, cut back against him. Zigler says, no, I'm dropping you, Holmes.
Well, the honeymoon continues for Houston Nutt and his coaching staff, as he said yesterday. It's a 2-0 honeymoon, and I hope it doesn't end. Well, right now they're trying to start the contest, their SEC opener, with a 72-yard scoring drive. 2nd and goal. Naked bootleg. Will Stoerner get there? Makes the man miss, but loses the football out of bounds at the 2.
Once again, Joel, this is an outstanding play by Kelvin Zigler. The bootleg had fooled everybody. Watch Zigler in the end zone and watch what he does. Okay, he comes off his man, forces him to throw because he knows otherwise he's going to walk into the end zone. He trips him up, forces the ball to go out of bounds at about the 3.5-yard line. Boy, the man who has kept the Hogs out of the end zone single-handedly on this particular drive has been Kelvin Zigler.
He's a senior from Mobile, led the Crimson Tide in tackles last year. It's his 2nd season as a starter. Tops on the team once again, as you can see. 3rd and goal from the 2. Hill won't get there. Dropped just inside the 2. Knifing over, the defensive back came up.
Trevor Smith was the guy that came on with the stick. And Joel, really, up to this point, Arkansas had some tremendous play calling, and Houston Nutt talked about the fact that he had gotten a little conservative last week's game. That was indicative of that. 1st and goal at the 3-yard line. There are a couple of other things they could have done. 3 yards out to go with the off-tackle play like that. That's something that can certainly be second-guessed.
Wind at his back, Todd Latterette. He's only missed once this year. He was 7 of 12 last year to give Arkansas the lead from 19 yards away. He pulled it over to the left side.
Wow.
The placements for both teams have been a sore spot over the last couple of years. Wasted opportunity for the Razorbacks. Still scoreless with 8:09 left in the first.
ESPN2's presentation of SEC football is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz, located on the web at MBUSA.com, and by State Farm Insurance. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
John David Phillips, the senior from Anniston, Alabama. The Tide offense back onto the field, and welcome back to Fayetteville. No score. A break for Alabama after a field goal attempt of only 19 yards away was missed by Latterette, the place kicker for the Hogs. Phillips, the senior, first year as a starter. He played in Fayetteville once before. Good for that story as he works out of a shotgun, in trouble with pressure coming. Forced back inside. Good footwork, though, to get it back to the original line of scrimmage, the 20-yard line, as he tripped up from behind. Another look back, Todd, at the placement before we left.
Now take a look at Latterette, and look at, he is a soccer-style kicker, but he is lined up like a straight-on kicker, and the reason for that is this profound angle. Those of you that remember the Army-Navy game a couple of years ago when the young man missed the 20-yard field goal to lose the game, they would have been better off to be about 5 yards back. Joel, I actually think that if you're in that situation on the 3-yard line, you're better off to take a penalty, move yourself 5 yards back if you're going to kick the field goal anyway, just to lessen the angle.
2nd and 10, Latterette, as you can see on the sideline, he can't believe it either, but you're right. And with the wider splits in the college game, too, it's tough, close like that. Out of the shotgun, missing his target. He wanted Michael Vaughn, the junior wide receiver. Let's head back to the studio with Mike Adamle. Mike, what's the latest?
Oh, Joel and Todd, a fantastic finish in South Bend between Purdue and Notre Dame. Boilermakers trailing by 1. Drew Brees picked off for the second time in the final 2 minutes of the game by number 25, Tony Driver. And Notre Dame gets a little revenge for last year's loss to Purdue. They win at 31-30. Guys?
Bounce-back game for the Irish after that loss to Michigan State. It seemed like in that game, Purdue led it every step of the way, only to lose by 1. Thanks, Mike. 5 plays, only 8 yards now for the Crimson Tide as they look at 3rd and 10, trying to avoid their second straight 3-and-out with a punt. Trying to set up a screen for Shaun Alexander. Gets a block to the 20, but won't get the marker, and he fumbles the ball out of bounds inside his own 25.
Great pursuit on the part of Arkansas, because that was a good play. They had it set up well. But once again, with the 5 defensive backs, in this case, Jeremy Flowers, their bandit, is the one who's able to make the play. What's going to happen is that they're going to run people off here and try to set up the screen right here. It's going to appear for a while that they're going to have a little bit right here, but watch what happens. Take a look at the pursuit of Arkansas as they come over, and finally finishing them off there as Flowers at the end before it appeared that Alexander might have a shot at the first.
And to punt it away, Daniel Pope once again. Moss waits back deep, the defensive back, and this is a wobbler and a very short one into the wind. A break for Arkansas, and they're going to get the ball in Bama territory near the Crimson Tide 43. See if Arkansas can capitalize after only a 19-yard punt by Pope when we come back. Fortunately for the student body, it is a warm one. 85 degrees at kickoff, humidity at 60%, and then some of the underclassmen as well. No score. Inside of 7 minutes left in the opening 15 minutes of play. Joel Myers along with Todd Christensen and Chris Marlowe down on the sideline. Stoerner twice last year threw better than 300 yards. Only one of the Razorback able to do that. That was Joe Ferguson as well. And he beat Alabama as well last year with that touchdown pass to Eubanks, who's departed now. Their all-time leading pass catcher. With 2 minutes to play in their 17-6 win at Tuscaloosa. From the 43, they've got it for the second time. Moved it effectively. Can they do it once again? On the quick one to the wide out. Anthony Lucas draws the flag against the defensive back. It looked like Hunter got his hand on the ball.
Well, Antoine Hunter guessed right away that it was a hitch route. He hustled up. That's going to be the argument. Maybe it was tipped. That's the beef. We'll see.
No flag. The ball was tipped.
Yep.
Good call. So Hunter did get it. Don't forget final day coverage on ESPN2 of the Major League Baseball races. The wild card race, unbelievable in the National League, of course. And we'll keep up with the Mets, the Cubs, the Giants tomorrow. All the games that mean something. Have every single at bat for Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa tomorrow. McGwire 1 for 3 today, but a big one. His 67th home run, a no doubt about it kind of home run. It was a bomb into left field. Sosa right now with the Cubs tied the Astros. That's in the 8th inning. Has not hit a home run. Breaking tackles out of the backfield. The wide receiver, or make it Chikuma, has just taken over for Madre Hill, the junior from Montgomery. In his first carry of the night, a couple of years ago, ran for almost 600 yards, more than any freshman in Razorback history, and their leading rusher with 279 so far this season. Best average as well, besides Shaun Alexander.
Yeah, he's off to a tremendous start. 137 yards a game. He's a player.
Alexander got a 14-yard average for the Crimson Tide. Now big third down. Can they take advantage of the great field position? Stoerner, and not enough. The wide receiver belted Michael Williams by Zigler, and what a start tonight for the free safety Zigler.
I'm telling you, he is a player. One of the things that Alabama does well is tackle in the open field, and Zigler, as we've documented ad nauseum, and I say ad nauseum even here in the first quarter, he just drops the receiver. He is an excellent football player. So good, in fact, that now that they're in their safe situation punt, he's the man that they bring back to make the catch here, to make sure of it.
Taken to punt away, junior from West Helena, Arkansas. Zigler back at the 5. It's going to be a fake. They go to the up man. Nobody knows. Can he get to the first down marker? Holding on to the ball. No, he won't get there.
What a great play.
Super idea, but they didn't execute it. Did he stay there too long after the Arkansas man caught it off the snap? Kanoy Kennedy, the free safety.
Joel, Reggie Grimes did a great job of staying with it. We talked about the discipline of Reggie Grimes. The ball is going to be right here. Reggie Grimes is actually going to sit here and wait. You're going to see him wait. Everybody's going to go in this direction. Kennedy's going to sit and wait. He waits just a little bit too long. Take a look at Grimes right here, sitting and waiting, cuts back against the grain. There's Grimes to help drop him. Boy, that's great discipline on the part of the defense for Alabama.
So they not only don't take advantage of the field position, but they give it right back to Alabama, who stayed at home on that play. Grimes in particular at the 36 of the Crimson Tide. And immediately, Terry Jones Jr., the tight end, jumps offside. Third offside call tonight on the Crimson Tide, the first against the offense.
Dead ball. Ball start on the offense.
Down to the sideline. Chris Marlowe. Chris.
All right, Joel, you know, Houston Nutt played football for Frank Burrells and Jimmy Johnson. He played basketball under Eddie Sutton. He coached with Lou Holtz. His biggest influence, of course, his father, Houston Nutt Sr. There he is. He coached football, basketball, and baseball for 35 years at the Arkansas School for the Deaf. The number one thing Houston Sr. taught Houston Jr., patience, a lesson that Jr. has trouble with sometimes. Back to you guys.
Okay, Chris. 35 years his dad coached there at the Arkansas School for the Deaf, as Shaun Alexander is chopped down after his short game.
Joel, I believe it's in Luke 21 and 19 where it says, "In patience possess ye your souls." To have 3 different sports, 35 years, teaching and instructing deaf children, that's to use a Hebrew term, that's a mensch right there. That's somebody that really hung with it.
And the pride he's got to have in his family, his sons, all coaches now. Danny, the running backs coach for Houston. And to get back to the other coaches at Arkansas State. Head basketball coach and assistant there. The reverse. Will it be available? Yes.
A lot of
time for Quincy Jackson. First down and then some. Little razzle-dazzle, a gadget play. After the gadget didn't work for Arkansas, Quincy Jackson, the senior from Brundage, Alabama, with a clean 20 yards. Nobody touched him down the sideline until he got to the other side of the field.
Just as we've been talking about the discipline of Alabama's defense, the discipline of Arkansas's defense breaks down on this particular play. Randy Garner, the left defensive end, is the man who pursues the play. He's supposed to stay at home. Take a look right here. Garner's going to pursue the play, and then when the direction comes here, he's going to be completely out. There is no contain. There he is right there, stuck. Oops. Well, it's too late. The result is a big game, the best offensive play thus far for the Tide.
Alexander bouncing it inside the 45 to the 43. Knocked down by Jeremy Flowers, the bandit.
You know, Joel, so many times with young people, you know, the thing is pursuit. You want to go after people and you want to make things happen. And in Garner's case, number one, the defensive end, quick, great player for Arkansas, has some sacks and some tackles. He gets a little bit over aggressive. You have to be cognizant of the fact that there's some area you have to take care of. In that case, he didn't.
Alexander with 4 carries for a total of 8 yards. Now, I was at the game his freshman year down at LSU when he got in late in the first quarter and ran for 291 yards. An Arkansas record, freshman or otherwise. Trouble coming from Phillips and almost intercepted in the secondary. Zach Painter, the Razorbacks, should have picked it off. It's a score if he does come up with it, reading it perfectly.
Great backside pressure on the part of Arkansas. Ball at the line of scrimmage. You see right there, cuts in front, just can't quite hold on to it. In that case is Zach Painter.
So now third and about 6 from the 43. Keep Alexander in the backfield. He's the only one with John David Phillips out of the shotgun. 2 wide receivers to each side. Plenty of time. Now it collapses. Phillips running for it. Will he get to the marker? Gets a block to the outside. Another beautiful block downfield. First down. The wide receivers did a good job. And then even downfield, Tim Bowens, the junior from Killen, Alabama, with a nice little seal as well.
Joel, you're right. And one of the things here is that it appeared that if he'd have just kept going straight, he would have got the first down. What you're going to see is you're going to see it break down, and then he's going to come here, and then he's going to go laterally. And you're saying, no, don't go laterally. But at 6'4", 225 pounds, and a 4.6 40, as Joel documented, there are the blocks. That's a big, strong quarterback able to lumber forward for the first down.
And he did play once at Fayetteville as a freshman, but he played as a defensive back. That's how he started his career for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Out of the shotgun on 1st and 10 from the 31. Over the middle, the tight end's available. It's complete. Give it to McAdley, the freshman from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. Big guy at 6'2", 200 pounds. Looks like a tight end. They set him up in the slot. And Kanoy Kennedy, the free safety, finally caught up with him.
Once again, one of the things that they're doing here is they're trying to spread things out. McAdley just sits down in the dead spot in the middle of the field, and he's unrecognized.
Wide receivers bigger? Is it just me? I had Polly Dixon, a UCLA wide receiver, at 6'5", 210, 215 recently. Well, the Bows has to like what's developing now. They're finally moving the ball. Third time they've had it. It's 2nd and 2. Alexander can't get out of the backfield, losing a yard and a half back to the 25. And it looked like they were indecisive on that play with McClintock, the fullback, going the other way.
Well, McDougal, the nose guard, was able to penetrate. That's going to set up now about a 3rd and 4 and 5. Arkansas has been on their heels here. This is going to be an interesting opportunity to see what they're going to do defensively if they're going to attack. I'd say here you got to force Phillips to make a play.
Will it be Shaun Alexander, the SEC's Offensive Player of the Week? 2 consecutive weeks in the wins over BYU and Vanderbilt. Only other running back in the SEC to accomplish that, Emmitt Smith. He was with the Florida Gators. Lost a couple, called it 3rd and 4. On the quick out, it batted down to the line. Getting a piece of it, Quinton Caver, the sophomore, 6'5", 220-pounder.
Keith Burns, the defensive coordinator for Arkansas, said that Caver arguably is their most athletic defensive player. Right there, he showed his vertical jump and batting it down, because with the hitch route, it looked like you had a first down coming. 3-step drop, heads out. Caver gets his hands up. Good job. Now a long field goal. I say a long field goal attempt. That's into the wind.
Yes.
This would be quite a kick if he's able to get it, Joel.
Pflugner is 1 of 3 on his young career. Junior from Sarasota, Florida. It's back. The placement's good. It's bending. Will it stay? Yes, just inside the upright.
Wow.
And Alabama has the lead on the 42-yard field goal by Pflugner. 3-0 Crimson Tide. 90 seconds left in the quarter. Pflugner had missed his last 2 field goal tries and into the wind. Good from 42 yards away. He missed, though. They were long ones. 45 and 52 yards out. Well, what a pick-me-up for Alabama, because they didn't do a thing on the first 2 offensive series, 3 and out. And now a boost from their place kicker. Special teams and placements for Alabama. Don't forget, they've missed 9 extra points over the last 23 games. And special teams come through early. The high one into the wind. Going to be brought back by Moss. Spun around past the 15 to the 20. Instead, it's Rod Stinson, the reserve tailback. And they'll take it near the 20-yard line. And don't forget, next Saturday, be sure to join us, ESPN and ESPN2. Full day of college football. On the Deuce, it all starts with the number 14 Wisconsin Badgers, and what a day for them in winning at home at Camp Randall today, big time, over Northwestern. They take on Indiana. That's at noon Eastern from Bloomington. Then again on the Deuce, we're going to be in Little Rock. Number 25, Kentucky, and their phenomenal quarterback, Tim Couch, matching up with these Arkansas Razorbacks. And then ESPN is also going to have a matchup at 10 o'clock Eastern. It all starts with College Game Day on ESPN at 11 a.m. on the East Coast. Stoerner gunning, the wide out, beats the tackle. The wide receiver, Anthony Lucas, with a first down, getting around Antoine Hunter, senior cornerback. And it's funny because the defensive coordinator told us yesterday he feels real strong about Antoine Hunter. Hopes that Fernando Bryant will keep up as well. Joe Ferguson, quarterback coach, his 2nd year at Arkansas, all the way on the opposite side. They've been moving the ball consistently. They're hurting themselves, though. Missed the field goal shot from 19 yards away. Jakuma. I'll make it Montre Hill, alternating on possessions. He's got it. Darting across the 45 to the 46. He's got 5 on first down. Let's find out what's going on with Mike Adamle. Mike?
Well, Joel and Todd, the National Home Run Watch continues. 7th inning. Kirk Bollinger, the Expos against Big Mac, and there it goes. Kisses goodbye, number 68. Not only does he take a 2-home run lead on Sammy Sosa, he helps them tie the Expos at 6 apiece, and the Cubs now leading just a half game behind the Giants in the wild card race. Guys, unbelievable.
It is going to be a phenomenal Sunday tomorrow on ESPN2 as we'll keep up with Major League Baseball and all the meaningful games. As Montre Hill can't get out of the backfield, losing a yard, updating the home run chase now. History making every day on ESPN, and especially tomorrow. 2 home runs today for Mark McGwire, 68 on the season. Sammy Sosa at 66, but important for the Cubs that they're simply winning the game to keep pace with the San Francisco Giants in the wild card race.
Joel, that ball's about a foot off the ground on the outside corner. That guy is so strong.
Righties aren't usually great golfers, but he went down and got it. 3rd and 6 from the 45. Stoerner audibilizing at the line, 2 to the wide side of the field. And that is going to be the final play of the quarter. They won't get it off in time. So to start the second quarter, it'll be a 3rd and 6 and a frustrating one for Houston Nutt and the Arkansas Razorbacks. Look good between the 20s, but couldn't get on the board. In the previous 8 games between Alabama and Arkansas, the winning team has never been able to score more than 20 points, and it's starting out the same way today. Joel Myers along with Todd Christensen, a 3-0 lead for the Crimson Tide. A 3rd and long to start the second quarter for the Hogs of Arkansas, just shy of their own 45-yard line. Madre Hill, the single set on the long count by Stoerner. After the play fake, he's got the seam available, and he's got his first down to Anthony Lucas.
One of the most difficult throws, Joel, for a quarterback is that deep in route. And Lucas makes a great catch. I always find it fascinating to me to see the hand on top. If you backhand it or forehand, it's just a personal thing. Take a look at how he forehands it. Reaches up by his head to make that catch. Some guys like to backhand it, but Lucas, great confidence in his hands, good deep route. Stoerner puts it right on the money.
23 yards on the reception by Lucas, the junior from Tula, Louisiana. Deep give to Madre Hill, slithering his way inside the 30, now to the 27. Didn't look like much, but he got just about 6.
You know, one of the things about Madre Hill that I noticed here, Joel, is that as opposed to a couple of years ago, he seemed like somewhat of a scat back in 95. You know, he's been on the weights, obviously. Anytime you're going to have to rehabilitate your knees, you got to do a lot of squats and a lot of leg presses. He may not have the quickness, but he's certainly a lot stronger than he was 3 seasons ago.
They've got him listed at 6'1", closer to 200, maybe 205 now. As you said, he's been in the weight room, there's no doubt. Movement again up front, this time from Jamie Carter. He jumped off earlier. That'll give him a first down if it is Carter and he wasn't drawn off.
Dead ball, encroachment on the defense. Repeat the down.
Well, Ellis Johnson, defensive coordinator for Alabama, can't be very happy. And, of course, Mike DuBose isn't really thrilled about it either. You can't keep giving people free yardage and get away with it. And now, oh, this is a great opportunity to go up top, Joel. 2nd and about 1.5 feet. Great opportunity for a little play action.
Barely short of the first down. Very tight formation now. One wide receiver to each side. Will they go up top and go for the bundle? No. Play it close to the vest. Stoerner gets the first down, going the low route for Houston Nutt, close to the 20-yard line.
And that's very un-Houston Nutt-like. Boy, say that 5 times quick, huh? I mean, there was somebody who really wants to take some chances and go after it. But, of course, after that fake punt, you know, maybe that makes him a little more reserved.
Well, what a legacy his dad has left with Danny, the running backs coach, Houston, the head coach, and then I mentioned at Arkansas State, head basketball coach Dickie Nutt, and Dennis, his other brother, the younger brother, is the assistant there. We'll get into the twins and the triplets, and there are plenty of those in the family as well. 1st and 10 outside of the 20. Looking, pitch and go into the end zone. It goes. Touchdown, Arkansas. Mesmerizing into the defensive back was Michael Snowden. Tony Dixon, the strong safety on the coverage. And it almost appeared like it hung up there forever, Tom.
Well, you know what ends up happening, Joel, is if you're a defensive back, you have to attack the ball. You can afford the luxury if you're the receiver of waiting, but in that case, Dixon waited on the ball. Lucas able to come underneath and get the catch.
Now Todd Latterette for the extra point try. He missed a field goal shorter than this. He pushes it, but it's inside the upright. And Arkansas has their first lead of the contest at 7-3.
Well, Stoerner does what he has to do and lays the ball up. But once again, you got to give Snowden credit. He's the one that goes after the football, and as a result, touchdown, Arkansas. Well, Snowden's certainly a happy man, but he has a couple of people to thank for it. First of all, the offensive line. Stoerner with a nice pump fake. He's going to get whacked by Travis Smith, but then Dixon in the end zone waits on it. Take a look. Right here, now he waits on it. Instead of fading on it, he needs to jump. Instead, Snowden's able to cut underneath him, make the catch, and be aggressive. And take a look at the result by the quarterback. He goes, man, I got whacked, but it was worth it.
Short kickoff from Latterette into the wind, taken for Alabama by Chris Horn, reserve weak side linebacker. And good field position for the Crimson Tide. So Stoerner 3 of 3 on that drive for 64 of the 79 yards. First touchdown toss, first score of the game, and second career touchdown for Michael Snowden. What a good freshman season. and actually had more catches in his freshman season than any other.
And Joel, one of the interesting things with regards to Stoerner is he didn't actually start playing quarterback until he was a senior in high school. That's amazing.
From the 31, it's taken away from John David Phillips, and he throws it up for grabs, and it's picked off. Coming up with the interception, Kanoy Kennedy, the free safety.
It's going to come back.
Flag
Joel,
down.
it's going to come back. There was holding. Jamel Harris, the linebacker, ended up holding the wide receiver, Quincy Jackson. It's going to come back.
Couple of early breaks now. You consider that missed 19-yard field goal one that took points off the board. And now a turnover is taken away on a penalty flag.
What ended up happening is that as he scrambles to his right, Jackson was on the hitch route. He got covered. He sprints downfield.
On the defense, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
And Phillips certainly got a break. It's one thing to throw the ball away, but if you're going to throw the ball away, just throw it away from the red shirts. Watch as he scrambles out right here. There's the holding. Right there, he's got his hands all over him, and that's what the official saw. There you see him drop the flag. First down for the Tide.
You kept your eye on the cornerback, Orlando Green, a redshirt freshman. They threw it in his direction. From the 46, first down, Alabama. But Alexander finally get going. Instead of play fake, plenty of time, wide open receiver, and they overshoot. He had a couple of steps. Arvin Richard out of the backfield. Well, that's one of the things Alabama wanted to do, was run their backs downfield today.
That's exactly right. They wanted to match up some linebackers because of the 4-2-5 situation. There's Arvin Richard is already through the line on the circle route. Phillips has a lot of time. He just can't quite deliver the ball on the money. They have what they want, just a little bit too long.
Phillips so far 3 of 7. Total of 17 yards. Looking to the 2nd and 10 outside the 45. Alexander popped in the backfield. Great penetration. Knifing through. J.J. Jones, Jr. from Magnolia, Arkansas.
I believe that play is known as Attica, or in other words, jailbreak. The offensive line for Alabama just disappeared on that one, and there was nothing but Cardinal in the backfield. Keith Burns, defensive coordinator for Arkansas, doing an excellent job.
You know what he said a couple of days ago? He said, we want to be the Wild Hogs. We want to go all out, so the people think of us as truly wild hogs.
That just sounds funny. I'm sorry.
It worked that
Wild
time.
hogs. Yeah, okay.
It worked that time.
You're right.
So a loss of about 3. It'll be 3rd and 13. Pocket holding up this time. Dump it off in the flat to the wide receiver. And Quincy Jackson taken down very quickly by David Barrett, the cornerback.
In the zone coverage that time, Arkansas willing to give up the short yardage. Interesting little triumvirate there. You can see the zone backing up. Going to give Jackson the ball. Hope that he can break a tackle and cut downfield, but Barrett hangs on. Thus the 4th down at midfield.
Moss back deep along with Flowers, waiting for the punt from Daniel Pope. 44 is first, the next only 19. He's got the wind at his back this time, and will it find the end zone or find the corner? Did it go out of bounds? Yes, what a break.
Wow.
Out of bounds it goes.
Are you
just
kidding?
Outside the goal line. What a punt by Pope.
Well, Pope has been outstanding coming into this game. 44 yards a punt. Take a look at this right here. Does it angle out? Look at this. Wow.
Arkansas with the ball in a 4-point lead, but only inches away from their own goal line. 1st and 10. And Alabama, as they set up defensively, tied an SEC record with 2 sacks in the Vanderbilt game. Carter and Stanley combined for 1. The other came on a sack by freshman end Kendall Moorhead. We haven't heard much from him yet today. Sensational player, high school All-American. Let's see if they can come up with 3rd already over the first 3. Jakuma knifing his way out of the backfield, tripped up by Zigler, the free safety, who's already got a half-dozen stops, and he was the last order of restraint there.
Big play here. Take a look for yourselves where the punt angles out. The official's right on top of it. Take a look at the 1-yard line right down there. Where's the ball? It's a tough call, but the official's right there. Boy, what a tremendous punt. Fantastic.
So they get it deep in their own territory. 2nd and 7. Just outside of the 3. And that time, the right tackle came up early, Bobby Williams.
Here's the difficulty. When you're 6'4" and you're 325 and you get started, it's not like you can stop on a dime. And so you know that that's going to be
Dead
motion.
ball foul. False start on the offense. Penalty is half the distance to the goal line.
Maybe they won't notice me.
Well, did you notice that? Did you notice that he whacked the guy? He's 4 yards upfield. He says, you know what? All right, big deal. I'm hitting somebody. It's too late.
He's the only non-senior on the offensive line, Bobby Williams, with Abernathy, Brown, Garrett, and Burlsworth. Half the distance to the goal. It is second, a little more than 8, almost 9. Short drop, trying to go downfield, and a busted pattern by Michael Williams. He didn't know which way he wanted to go.
Well, what he was trying to get, Antoine Hunter to bite on the hitch fake. Instead, he had the hitch. And so when he cut upfield, he was waiting on it. The result is that Stoerner was smart enough to just say, hey, I'm getting rid of it. Get a chance to see the pump fake. There's the pump fake. Hunter doesn't buy. He's about to get sacked by Wagner, so he says, forget it. I'm getting rid of it. Good poise on the part of Stoerner.
Huge play now for the Alabama defense. And a timeout is going to be called by Arkansas. So Stoerner stops the clock to talk it over. Just a little more than 4 minutes into the second quarter.
ESPN2's presentation of college football is brought to you by Hyundai and their full line of exciting new cars. Hyundai, where driving is believing.
Arkansas quarterback Clint Stoerner on his follow-through hitting a helmet. And on his throwing hand, he had to go over to the sideline because he needed a couple of extra seconds to recover from that shot.
Well, I think, too, even with the injury, I think this is a good time to call a timeout because they really need to get the first down here. If they've got to punt into the wind at their own 2-yard line, it's like they're just practically handing Alabama a field goal.
3rd and 9. Big play as far as the field position of this contest is concerned. 10:46 left for the first half. Stoerner moving the pocket to buy some time. Has a man at the 10, and is it taken away? No, it's knocked away. Almost picked off by Marcus Spencer. Coming over the back of the wide receiver on that far side, Michael Williams. Spencer timing it perfectly.
Now a lot of pressure is going to be on Aiken, the punter. Going to have his heels near the end of the end zone. They're going to have to give it all he's got to get it out and not give Alabama some outstanding field position.
Marvin Richard, the reserve tailback, waiting back at the 47 of Arkansas. Aiken into the wind, a low wobbler. What kind of roll? Goes away from Richard, and a break for the Razorbacks, although it does stop right at the 44. The NFL continues. ESPN Sunday night NFL game of the week tomorrow night. Jermaine Lewis and the Baltimore Ravens matching up with the Cincinnati Bengals. Join us tomorrow night, the beautiful new ballpark at Camden Yards. Baltimore taking on Cincinnati. And then don't forget ABC's Monday Night Football. Barry Sanders, the electrifying one. And the Detroit Lions taking on the Buccaneers of Tampa Bay. They finally got their first win last week. Detroit still looking for their first win. ABC's Monday Night Football. The fullback McClintock, a rare carry and good yardage, busting it inside the 40 down to the 37. He's a sophomore from Quinlan, Texas.
Well, inevitably, when you're going to key so hard on the tailback of the opposing team, the fullback can sneak underneath. Remember last week, Tennessee and Florida. Florida was keying so hard on Jamal Lewis, the fullback able to take something like a 50 or 60-yard run that ended up being a winning touchdown in that key game. So McClintock could be a key in this game, Joel.
He got 6 on first down. A bonus from your fullback. Tight formation once again. Will this be the drive that starts Alexander on his way? He hasn't done a thing so far. Trying to get to the outside. Great penetration once again. Knifing through Randy Garner, the left end, slowed it all down. His teammates came in to clean up, but the sophomore from Atlanta, Texas, started it all off.
Well, the offensive line for Alabama has been very ineffective in blocking for Shaun Alexander. Certainly they're going to be keying upon him. But it becomes a difficult situation where you take 2 steps and all you see is opposing jerseys. This is C.J. McClain coming from the backside. They're outstanding outside backer. Look at that, 5, 6 people on the tackles. That's the sort of thing that thrills linebacker coaches and defensive coordinators.
He lost 6, so 7 carries now for a -3 yards. Garner, big playmaker with all those tackles behind the line. And a couple of sacks. Out of the shotgun. John David Phillips setting up the screen to Alexander, who's chopped down from behind. Good pursuit on the play by Ryan Hale with a defensive tackle, a senior from Rogers, Arkansas.
Really was. He's the middle of the line, and as soon as Phillips takes those extra 2 steps back, he is very much aware of the fact that this is going to be a screen pass. Take a look right over here to the left of your screen is number 96, and he's going to be in pursuit of the play. Alexander has to wait and look at Hale. You got to know that this guy's 5'2" tops in the 40, but he's relentless, and he's able to drag down Alexander from behind.
Into punted away, Daniel Pope once again. They can't capitalize the first time they start with the ball in Arkansas territory.
65 yards in total offense for Alabama up to this point, Joe.
Well, they kick it away from the twosome back there, including Moss. He does, but it goes into the end zone. So 3 and out with a punt. Arkansas with a break from the defensive unit. And we check in once again with Mike Adamley. Mike?
All right, Joel and Todd, after Kentucky took the lead a couple of times early on, it was all Florida Gators. Now, third quarter, they lead 42-28. When Doug Johnson hits Robert Gillespie for 57 yards of the score, it is now a final 51-35. Gators prevail, guys.
I think that it might, you know what, Joel, I was going to say it might be a situation now where Florida doesn't do that quarterback exchange anymore. Doug Johnson really came out in this one and had an outstanding game.
I like the dive by the little guy. Don't forget, next Saturday night on the Deuce, Todd, we are going to be in Little Rock. Tim Couch and Kentucky matching up with the Razorbacks of Arkansas, who have the ball on a 7-3 lead. Madre Hill breaking tackles out of the backfield and close to a first down. He's got the first down out to the 32. Well, we came over thinking it was going to be Chikuma who was going to get 25 carries and Alexander on the opposite side. Instead, it's Madre Hill for the Razorbacks.
One of the things that you want to do is you want to go with who's hot, or as Bum Phillips used to say, dance with who brung you. Madre Hill, as you pointed out 3 years ago, a 1,400-yard runner. The thing that I'm impressed with this evening, Joel, thus far, is his inability to go down easily. People are really, 2-3 guys are having to get him. He's breaking through some arm tackles. He is strong.
9 carries, 55 yards for the senior from Malvern, Arkansas, Madre Hill. Play fake this time to Hill, going deep down the sideline. And a flag thrown, and maybe on the wide receiver, Anthony Lucas, battling with the defensive back, Fernando Bryant, on that side.
One of the things that Fernando Bryant did as a good corner is going to do is that he's going to turn, and boy, I tell you what,
tough break partner.
That is, it really is.
Did he try to ride him out with an angle?
Well, take a look. Now he looks back, and right there he does ride him out. Okay, that's a good call by the official.
15-yard penalty from the previous spot. First down.
I'm not sure that shouldn't have been of the 5-yard variety, because it seemed like he pushed him before the ball was thrown, but it certainly was a penalty. Bryant, of course, is somebody that many people feel is going to be playing on Sundays. He is an outstanding corner. All-American potential for Alabama. Alabama with 6 penalties for 49 yards, and certainly Coach DuBose can't be very happy about that. Alabama is one of those teams notorious for being disciplined.
Are we going to have a timeout, or will they stay out there? They're getting the play out very late, inside of 10 on the play clock. Bryant with 33 consecutive starts. Mainstay like Hunter on the corner. What side at that time? It is going to be a counter play, and they can't get Chikuma to the outside. A little trap action. Travis Smith, along with Steve Stanley, and those two were cited by the defensive coordinator for Alabama, is putting together the solid games over the first two. Real consistent players.
But Joel, one of the things that you're going to do is you're going to get away with a trap if you have a front 7 that is not that quick. Alabama is very quick. They've got too many 4-5, 4-6 guys down there that can pursue. That play took too long to develop, and the result is Chikuma's dropped for a loss.
This is Stanley, the senior from Layton, Alabama, on one side. Travis Smith on the opposite side. Second season as a starter at linebacker. Spent his first 2 years at the fullback spot. So you know he's got some quick feet. Inside of 7 minutes left in the half. With time, and a wide open receiver knocked away from Michael Williams. Loose ball picked up by the Crimson Tide. And Steve Stanley, the one we were just talking about. But the pop made by Kelvin Zigler has been everywhere.
And this is a good job by the officials. So many times you see the ball fly out like that, Joel, and what they end up doing is saying, okay, it must be incomplete. Certainly that was not an incomplete pass. Houston Nutt wants to beef and say that it was incomplete, but it was not. Take a look downfield. You're going to see the hit. There's the catch, 1-2 feet down. Definitely a fumble, and as you pointed out, Zigler with his helmet right on the ball. The man is everywhere this evening.
It's got to be in double digits when it comes to tackles already. Shot at Michael Williams. And Stanley coming up with a loose ball, and for the second consecutive time, Alabama starting on the plus side of the 50-yard line. Arkansas territory at the Razorback 47. Phillips with heat. Can he get away? He is strong. Alexander takes the lick there inside the 45, but they avoid a loss of about 6 or 7 yards.
You know, when I was a kid growing up, a guy I used to watch who was big and strong, 6'4", 230, was a guy by the name of Roman Gabriel. Somebody that used to shake off all those sackers. That's what Phillips looks like right here. Dead to rights, he's going to go down, right? But instead, McDougal can't bring down the 6'4", 225-pounder. He's able to deliver the ball to Alexander for a gain, which instead could have been a 9-yard loss. And
his head coach, Mike DeBose, told us yesterday he started as a defensive back. He's a good thinker. He's a great athlete.
He's an athlete, right.
He's a real good athlete. 6 of 10 for 30 so far. 2nd and long. 2nd and 8. Trying to set up the middle screen. And it doesn't go anywhere for the wide receiver, Michael Vaughn. Flag on the play as well.
One thing I'm impressed with so far, Joel, both defenses, the pursuit is amazing.
And the team speed, and you brought it up with Alabama on both sides of the ball. Flag going against Alabama.
I would think that Arkansas is going to refuse this. They want to force a 3rd and 8.
We got a legal shift. 2 men moving at the same time. Repeat the down.
Harold Mitchell, the referee tonight in this Southeastern Conference opener for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. They will take the 5-yard mark off. Won't take it at 3rd and 8. Instead, make it 2nd and 13.
Well, Joel, evidently that's a situation where the official did not go to him. Evidently somebody moved before the snap while it was going, and so the result is they didn't have a choice. They have to take the penalty.
Dead ball foul, and Michael Vaughn would like to take the shot he just took back as well.
Yeah, right. Doesn't work that way.
2nd and 13. Multiple formations for the Crimson Tide, a new look for their offensive unit this year. Phillips underneath the wide receiver, Quincy Jackson. Short yardage, got almost 5 back, the penalty yardage, not quite. Make it a little more than 4 yards for Quincy Jackson. 3rd and long, and let's head down to Chris Marlowe. Chris?
You know, you're talking about John David Phillips. Last summer, he signed up for an outward bound survival course. He wanted to build up his leadership skills and test his character and mental toughness. So for 2 weeks in the mountains of North Carolina, Phillips climbed and hiked 10 to 12 hours a day with 70-pound packs. He repelled, learned how to survive when it was all over. Phillips, the perfectionist, said what he learned was that it's okay to fail as long as you get back up and keep trying. And this guy has been a survivor. Back to you.
Huge Joel Alexander on 3rd and 8 with a 1st down. His longest run by far of the contest in plus yardage now. He was a -3 after 7 carries before that. And he's got it down to the 25 with 20 yards on that run.
For whatever reason, Arkansas, take a look right here. They just abandon the middle of the field. It spreads them out. All the defenders are thinking they're going to come upfield. Take a look when the ball is snapped and they hand the ball to Alexander. There's nobody there. You can see Zach Painter, the Rover, is actually running to center field. Alexander slips down. It's 20 yards downfield before anybody even touched him.
He'll get the call again and can't get to the boundary, but breaks tackles, doing a good job when it looked like a loss. He gets it back to the original line near the 25. Finally dumped down by Quinton Caver.
Well, coming into the game, you would have anticipated the big tailback battle. And of course, by now, we would have thought that Alexander would have had, say, 50 or 60 yards, but he has been held, as you can see right there, to only 16 yards on 9 carries. Madre Hill, on the other hand, who really have been playing second fiddle to Chikuma coming into this game, 9 carries for 55 yards, an impressive 6 yards a carry.
Trips to the wide side of the field for the Crimson Tide on 2nd and 10. And Phillips out of the shotgun. Buying some time. Again, a good stiff arm to get away from the pressure. Great job to get downfield. Inside the 25 to the 23. And Chris was just talking about the outward bound trip he was on with 70 pounds on his back. It must have felt that way. He didn't get to use manicured trails on that trip either.
Yeah, but except take a look at the end of the play. Here's what's impressive. How many times you see the quarterback slide? Instead, Zach Painter's going to come up. Take a look at Phillips, lower the shoulder and say, I got something for you. I thought it's interesting as Chris Marlowe documented on his outward bound. One of the things that was interesting is that they said that Phillips lost 15 pounds, but he was 225. He's listed at 225. He must have been a bruiser.
I think he took it off-road that time, don't you? What a run. So now it's going to be 3rd, almost 8. Alexander trying to get outside. He won't get the 1st down with a flag down late on the near sideline. He got to the 23, though, just inside the 24, shy by about 3.
I think they're going to have holding on the left tackle.
Good call, partner. 2nd team All-SEC performer last year at left tackle, Chris Samuels.
Will Cuthbert, the right tackle, comes out on a pull, and he is going to hook the defensive end The official's going to see that left hand over the back. I would think here, given the circumstances, that they would take it. I don't think that they want, with the wind, to just give up a 36-yard field goal. Make them make a play.
Holding on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Repeat the down.
You make the call. Todd Christensen did, and let's look back on that hook you're talking about.
Well, Cuthbert, the right tackle, number 72, is going to come around on the pull and get a hold of it. He's not going to get a chance to see it. Nonetheless, I think that this is a good decision. A good decision on the part of Arkansas, because if they can get an incomplete pass here, a 50-yard field goal, Joel, that's against the percentages.
8 penalties already on the Crimson Tide for 64 yards. Now 3rd and 18. Pocket holds up, overthrown by a good margin, going for Quincy Jackson. And it did. That penalty took him right out of field goal range.
Well, once again, with the win, maybe not.
Let's see if they go for the 50-plus yarder. Brian Pflugner was hitting from way beyond that, and they will bring out the place kicker, because downwind, we watched him during warm-ups, he hit from close to 60 yards. He has already got a 42-yarder. He is 2 of 4 on the season, and he's going to try a career-best 50-yarder. Out of the hold of Pope. Flags down.
Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. If that's motion, that's just awful. I say that, Joel, because those 5 yards are absolutely huge, and now more than likely they're going to have to punt.
Ball start on the
Oh,
offense.
that's terrible.
Penalty. Repeat the down.
If you miss, you give it back to him in great field position. It's all the way out of the 38 for the placement now.
Well, as you pointed out, he kicked a 62-yarder in warm-up, so they're
Yes.
going to give it a shot. Wow.
Hit the 42-yarder with ease into the wind. This is 55 yards, the attempt downwind out of the hold of the punter, Pope. Placement is clean. It's up.
Wow.
It's got the direction. Does it have the distance?
Oh, my
yes.
God.
And it's got 10 yards behind that.
Look at that.
55-yard field goal by Pflugner. It could have been from 65 yards away, and Bama draws within 1. 55-yard field goal by Ryan Pflugner makes it a 1-point ball game. The all-time best for a place kicker for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. Van Tiffen had a 57-yarder against the Aggies of Texas A&M back in 1985. That would have been good from 65.
Yeah, I'm just going to say, Joel, they could have moved that 3 yards back, and he would have broken the record. I mean, he just pumped the heck out of that.
Wisniewski kicks it away. He's handling the kickoff duties. That is out of the end zone with the wind at his back. And back to the studio we go to Mike Adamley. Mike.
All right, Joel and Todd, coming up on the National Car Rental Halftime Report. The Cornhuskers roll. Florida gets up off the canvas and jumps onto the couch. And Big Mac chases number 70. He hit 2 today. All that and more coming up on the National Car Rental Halftime Report. Guys?
All right, Mike, a 7-6 ball game here with 2:24 left in the half. Arkansas moving the ball consistently, but making plenty of mistakes. They have dominated it statistically, but Alabama has capitalized on their opportunities with a couple of field goals. From the 20. Kuma, fast run, across the 25-30, spins for 5 more to the 35. He's been very quiet simply because he hasn't touched the ball all that often.
Take a look at this field goal. Daniel Pope, the punter, has the hold. Here's the snap right on the money. Pope able to get it down, and to say that Pflugner got all of it would be an understatement. Take a look at where the ball ends up. Look how far back that is. As you pointed out, Joel, that would have been good for another 7-8 yards beyond. Boy, Pflugner's having a great game.
Couldn't tell from the look on his face. 55-yarder. Chikuma breaking tackles into the secondary. Another first down for Chris Chikuma, the junior. And the Alabama coaches told us yesterday during their walkthrough, they said, we know Chikuma's going to be pumped up because he's an Alabama kid. He's from Montgomery. This game means a lot to him.
It does mean a lot to him. And those 2 particular runs now afford Arkansas the opportunity to go into their 2-minute offense. I think that they were trying to feel Alabama out. If those had been 1-yard runs, they'd have been content to run out the half. Now they've got a shot to go down and score.
So 27 yards on those 2 carries for Chikuma. Behind Nathan Norman, the fullback, in a tight eye. Chikuma again. And couldn't get outside of the block. Over to the outside of the right tackle even, and he's belted in the backfield for a loss of a little more than 2.
Now that play surprised me there, Joel, simply because of the fact that I thought now would be the time for them to go and start to throw.
Sean Draper with the tackle behind the line for Mike DeBozen, Alabama. Last year, the Crimson Tide of Alabama used 5 different place kickers. They had that many problems, and not just field goals. They had problems with extra points. Well, I think Klugner has solidified his position as the place kicker with 55 and 42 yarders tonight. Second and about 13. Stoerner moving the pocket by design. Downfield he goes. Here's wide receiver, and it's underthrown out of bounds, trying to get it to Anthony Lucas.
Strange call there. That was a one-man route, and he was triple teamed. That had no chance from the beginning. Good coverage on the part of Bryant, among others.
So now 3rd and long, and maybe the opportunity for Alabama to get a chance before the end of the half. Down by 1 with 1:22 left in the first 30 minutes of play. Alabama's got all 3 of their timeouts left. Only 1 remaining now for the Razorbacks as they get ready for 3rd and 13. Coming in the extra wide receiver, Hubert Loudermilk. So they got trips over to the near side. The single over to the wide side is Lucas. With the pocket holds up, with the corner blitz coming. They hit the wideout. Emmanuel Smith breaking the tackle, gets the first down.
That's a great block downfield by Hubert Loudermilk to enable him to get the first down. Alabama and the conservative defense trying to prevent a long distance gain. Give up the 8-yard hook, no problem. We'll make them punt. But instead, Loudermilk with a great downfield block to set up the first down.
And you better make the tackle when he catches it underneath. So Houston Nutt and Arkansas maintains possession. Trying to conserve that last timeout. Clock moving, 65 seconds left in the half. From the 37, trying to use the sideline. It's complete to the wide receiver once again, Michael Snowden, who's got the only touchdown of the game. The junior from New Elton, Louisiana, on 12 yards on the pickup.
And there's no way that Snowden could do this because he doesn't have eyes in the back of his head, but Bryant ends up falling down. Good pump fake. Stoerner delivers the ball right on the money. Take a look at Bryant. He's going to turn to the outside. Watch, he slips and falls. Now, if Snowden had known that and turned upfield, he could have had a little extra yardage.
1st and 10 for the Razorbacks. The outside of the Tides, 24. Wide side of the field, they've got 3 wide receivers once again. Lucas, the single. Isolated coverage on the near side. Up against Bryant. Blitz coming. Over the middle, wide open and underthrown. It's a trap. And he had Loudermilk available. Beats Fitzman's stride. It's a touchdown as Zigler fell down.
Give credit, though, to Travis Smith on the blitz because as a result of that, Stoerner has to throw off of his back foot. He can't get enough juice on the ball. He has man coverage in the middle of the field with Zigler, exactly what he wants, but he just doesn't have enough juice to get it there. Loudermilk tries to trap it, but unsuccessful.
Good move. It looked like Zigler may have tweaked his hamstring a little bit on that play. He got up a little gimpy, and I like the timeout call by Alabama because personnel-wise, they may not have been ready with their best player in the field over the first 30 minutes. Zigler really holding onto the back of his leg.
I think that's a very good point. However, the converse problem with that, Joel, is the fact that this affords Arkansas the opportunity to regroup and pick something out.
7-6 lead for Arkansas. Still 2 timeouts left for Alabama. Tomorrow, ESPN takes you to Martinsville, Virginia for round 27 of the NASCAR Winston Cup season. Coverage begins with NASCAR Today at noon Eastern time on the news. Then at 12:40 on ESPN, the Napa 500. So the track is tough on the drivers, even tougher on the equipment. NASCAR's best, trying to beat the legendary half-mile track. And last year's winner, Jeff Burton. That all comes your way tomorrow on ESPN.
Martinsville, Virginia, isn't that where Wooden was born?
It might be Martinsville, Indiana.
Or Indiana.
You are all over so many sports. It's tough to keep up with you. Stoerner 8 for 16, 114 yards passing. He's got the game's only touchdown toss.
Travis Smith has been all over the field. He has been outstanding for Alabama, both in pass coverage and in supporting the run.
He showed up in the game film. I saw that BYU victory. He was incredible in that effort. Now out of the shotgun, 2nd and 10 from the 24 of Alabama. Pocket collapses off the back foot. Up for grabs. Will it be picked off? And what a break for Stoerner.
Really was. He threw that where there was nothing but white shirts. Now this is it. Now most times you would say here, Joel, that you're in field goal range. But you're at the 25-yard line. We're looking at a 42-yard attempt into the wind. I'm sure that This is a great opportunity right here for Arkansas to go with the draw play. Spread them out, get a 3-4 wide receiver situation, call the draw play. The play that was so successful for Shaun Alexander down here for Alabama. That would be a great call. And Alabama, once again, takes a timeout.
Well, it worked the last time. They figured maybe we'll use another because we still have 2 timeouts remaining. Now they're down to their final timeout with 40 seconds left in the half.
Well, they want to be sure here because of the fact that even if they were to get the ball right here, Joel, they're not going to go the length of the field. They want to make sure that they're in the right defensive set. Arkansas, like Alabama, has come out with a number of different sets, and they don't want to be confused on this crucial 3rd down play.
Stay with us. Mike Adamley standing by with John McAvick. The National Car Rental halftime report coming up at the intermission from Fayetteville, Arkansas.
I like a quarterback draw here. I love that play. 3rd and 10. Going to come in with the extra defensive back, spread out 4 wide receivers, get 1 block, and the guy gets the 1st down.
Latterette getting ready if needed, the senior from Pensacola.
He needs to redeem himself here, Joel, after missing a 19-yarder. I mean, angle or not, you're just not supposed to miss one less than 20 yards.
Flags on the goalposts are misleading. You go up top of the stadium, you see the flags up there, and they are really whipping into the face right now of the Razorbacks at a good 20 miles an hour. Out of the shotgun, will it be a quarterback draw like Todd was just talking about? Pocket does hold up for Stoerner going the other way. Wide opens the tight end for the first time he's gone that way. Jodine Davenport, will he get in? Yes! Touchdown Arkansas! They don't exactly feature the tight end at Arkansas. The 3 tight ends over the first 2 games only have 2 catches before that one.
What happens in such cases, and this is what happened, is on a crossing route by the tight end, the defender will get picked off, or he'll get confused in the middle. He'll get whacked around. He lost his feet. In this case, Stanley did. Jodine Davenport from Springdale able to come up with it. He gets it in the end zone.
Latterette for the extra point. Perfect that time. Now, what a way to go into the locker room if they can deny Alabama over the next 27 seconds. A pick-me-up for Stoerner because a couple of questionable decisions by the quarterback previous to that.
Well, as you pointed out, here comes the crossing route. Watch as he comes across the field. Stanley has him in man coverage. Now watch number 4 in trail. Watch, he's going to get his feet hooked up, collides with his own man. Jodine Davenport all alone. And at the end of the play, check him out. He knows this is my one opportunity, babe. There's no way I'm going to get tackled on the 2-yard line. Check me out. I'm Ronaldo Nehemiah. I'm Alan Johnson. I'm Willie Davenport. Well, what other hurdler you want to pick? And he's in for the score.
His first career touchdown. Savor it, Jodine.
Look at that. That's a happy dude right there. And let me confess something to you, Joel, that I know you're unaware of. I get a kick out of tight end scoring.
Just a few times. You caught just a few balls in your day, only 96 one season.
Well, I was featured. Jodine isn't. So he's going to milk it for all it's worth, and he should. That's a happy young man.
Arvin Richard. Fernando Bryant should get an opportunity to bring it back with the place kicker Latterette hitting it into the wind.
Let's also make a point here. Stoerner going across his body, going the other way. Pretty good throw by the quarterback.
27 seconds left in the half. And don't let him return it. Latterette almost looked like he wanted to do that. He's going to give him the ball at the 35-yard line instead. So maybe a couple of pass plays. Alabama has 1 timeout remaining, and they've got a place kicker who can hit it. We know 55 and maybe 60 plus.
Except for how many times do you see this, Joel, when a team has been so ineffective offensively? Why do you want to give them great field position? Jodine Davenport, 6'7", 260 pounds. Does this guy make anybody forget Colin Jackson, the great hurdler of Great Britain? Probably not. Nonetheless, I doubt that Jackson could have gotten the end zone like that young man, and he wouldn't have been as excited. I'm sorry, 268. He is a bruiser.
Great name, right out of a paperback.
I'm telling you. Hey, wait a minute. I just met, what did I just say? Davenport, Willie Davenport. Maybe they're related. Remember, gold medalist, 68 Olympics?
You cover it, don't you?
I'm from Eugene, man. I got to know a little track and field.
Well, the Tide taking no chances. And you would think the way Flugner hit it, a couple of first downs, and all of a sudden.
Inside midfield, 1 long play, and maybe they've got a shot.
And they still have a timeout remaining, but they're going to let the clock wind down.
And I got to tell you, Joel, I don't like this for the other reason, and that's that the momentum is completely with Arkansas heading into the half.
What a boost for Arkansas to get the touchdown, and now Alabama says, were content to go in down by 8. So that's going to be the end of the first 30 minutes of play. SEC opener for Arkansas, successful so far. They lead it 14-6 as we head back to the studio. Mike Adamle and John McAfee. Gentlemen, SEC opener for the Razorbacks of Arkansas, and they're on top of the Crimson Tide of Alabama, 14-6. And welcome back to Fayetteville. Joel Myers along with Todd Christensen. Only 90 yards of total offense for the Crimson Tide. Lucky to be down by only 8.
They really are. They just have not been able to penetrate. In fact, for the 42-yard field goal that they had, the 25-yard line, as far as they've been able to get in terms of penetration. Quincy Jackson set up that particular field goal with this reverse inside of Arkansas's side of the ball. And of course, Arkansas with a big crossing route to Joe Dean Davenport as he hurdles the defender for the second touchdown catch for Clint Stoerner. That's the score, 14-6 at this point. Certainly Alabama's offense has to play a lot better, and as you can see right there, the Razorback 8-point differential seems huge right now, particularly with the ineptitude of the Alabama offense.
So that's a nasty guy. You don't want to get near him. Well, Arkansas, one of the few teams that can say they ate a relative of their mascot as part of their pregame meal. Kicking it away was Newski. I guess the Oregon Ducks could say the same. And it's going to be 1st and 20 for the Razorbacks. 1st and 10, rather, at their own 20-yard line. I mentioned only 90 net yards of offense compared to 227. So wasted opportunities, and not only wasted for Arkansas with those 227, but 2 straight possessions in that first half. Alabama started on the 50, on the side of the 50 of the Razorbacks, and couldn't capitalize with points on either possession.
Joel, what the statistics really reveal here is how well the Alabama defense has played. I mean, they have been outstanding. The missed 19-yard field goal, the opportunities that Arkansas has wasted. The Alabama defense has been doing its job.
It's a speed defense, like you mentioned, the first 30. And the tight end gets away. What a night for Joe Dean. Joe Dean Davenport across the 35 to the 36. We check in once again with Chris Marlowe. Chris.
All right, Joel, had a chance to talk to both coaches at halftime. Mike DeBose told me that we have to win the line of scrimmage. They're beating us up out there. I asked him if he yelled at his team at halftime trying to pump them up. He said a little bit. Meanwhile, Coach Nutt, a very upbeat halftime in the Hogs locker room. Coach Nutt said the first 5 minutes of the second half is key. If we get that, we'll win this game. Back to you.
17 yards on the pass to Davenport. He's got a touchdown reception. Madre Hill, who had just about 60 yards in the first 30 minutes of play, swarmed under after about 2.5 on his first carry. Travis Smith, the first one there.
Well, the 2 touchdowns that have been scored by Arkansas, as we documented at the top of the show, Joel, that's it. Those are the peaks. That's the most that they've ever scored against Alabama. And as you pointed out, they have never scored more than 20 points. So this is somewhat of a renaissance for the Razorbacks against the Tide.
Caught it 2nd and 8 from the 39. Warm, muggy night, starting to cool down with the sun setting. Stoerner overshooting a wide open wideout Michael Williams.
Threw a little bit too soon. Williams had not turned. Had a little pressure from the back from Wagner. Take a look at number 91 in on the rush. But Stoerner threw it just a little bit too soon.
Wagner a big factor over the first couple of games with 3.5 sacks. He had that deflection batted down the pass in the first 10 minutes of play, but very quiet in the second quarter.
Well, the offensive line for Arkansas has done a great job protecting Stoerner up to this point, particularly in the middle where Brandon Burlsworth, their potential All-American, has been outstanding.
3rd and 8 now. It'll be the delay for Madre Hill. Can't beat him to the boundary and is knocked out of bounds well short of the first down. Good pursuit down the line by the strong safety Tony Dixon.
Of course, Dixon was the one who was victimized by that touchdown earlier, but he shows great pursuit in getting Madre Hill out of bounds and forcing Arkansas to punt.
It's a big series for the Alabama defense. 1 first down for Arkansas and a punt. A punt, we remind you, into the wind. As Arvin Richard is waiting for the punt back inside the 20. High snap. Good job by Chris Aiken. Trying to keep it away from Richard. Gets a Razorback roll inside the 20. All the way down to the 15. 41 yards on the punt. Kept it low. Tried to almost cut it low underneath the wind. Well, tomorrow on ESPN2, don't miss a full day of Major League Baseball. We'll give you every game that counts tomorrow and what a finish it's going to be in the National League for that wild card. McGuire and Sosa, every one of their at-bats as well. That's tomorrow starting at 12:40 Eastern on ESPN2. Big day for Mark McGuire. A couple of singles for Sammy Sosa, but now going into the final day of the regular season. He is 2 behind McGuire, who had his 67th and 68 home runs of the year. Going on the deep out, or the wide side of the field, John David Phillips. A strong throw to get it over there to Michael Vaughn on the completion.
Vaughn was the go-to guy 2 years ago for Alabama. 39 catches, averaging 18 yards a catch. He was their man. Then he had back surgery in '97, missed the entire campaign. And I asked Coach DuBose yesterday if they were going to make a more concerted effort to get him the ball, and he said that they would. But Joel, that's his first catch of the ball game.
He's a former JUCO All-American. Led the team with 39 catches, you mentioned, in '96. They'll run McClintock, fullback in motion on 2nd and a couple. Alexander getting a full head of steam past the 30. Zach Painter tripped him up. And check that. Is it Alexander? Yes, it was Alexander, the junior from Florence, Kentucky. The flag is down.
Appeared that C.J. McClain jumped off sides, and they'll let that one go because of the gain of Alexander. They really need him to get going, because Shaun Alexander is the man that makes their offense go. Phillips cannot throw the ball 35 times and have Alabama win the game. They have to have a balance.
On the defense, Tony is declined. First down.
See McClain jumping in the neutral zone.
It's a real key for Alexander to touch it a lot in the second half. Whenever he touches it 20 or more times, good things happen for the Crimson Tide of Alabama. He's got a first down on the carry, only needed 2, got a lot more. And it's out to the 34. Alexander on the slight delay. From behind, catching up with him, the linebacker, Melvin Bradley, his senior.
Melvin Bradley is somewhat of a tweener at 6'1.5" and 260 pounds. Number 41 is somebody who's played all up and down the defensive line, from nose guard to defensive end. The coach, Keith Burns, was talking about that he could be a Teddy Bruschi type. For those of you that follow professional football, he was a great pass rusher for Arizona, now with New England Patriots. Somebody who could play special teams, rush the passer on 3rd down. Somebody who could be very valuable.
Pick up a 3 for Alexander on the draw. 2nd and 7. 3-step drop this time by Phillips, and throwing it over his wideout of Quincy Jackson. Well, I talked about Shaun Alexander. When he carries it for more than 20 times per game, good things happen. It's only happened 3 previous times in his career. 12 touchdowns in those 3 games, and that's the number that really stands out, compared to only 5 in 19 other games with less than 20.
Well, he's going to get his touches, Joel, but the thing that they have done a good job, and I think that this is something we haven't pointed out up to this point, the secondary for Arkansas, very much maligned last year, has done a very good job tonight of shutting down the receivers of Alabama.
And averaging better than 200 yards a game in those 3. Just got it off in time, and now on 3rd and 7, Phillips can't get away.
Quarterback draw, Joel, that was intentional. He took his 3 steps back. Good pursuit on the part of Arkansas, but the man that made that play once again was Melvin Bradley. Number 41 is the one that shook him up before Jamel Harris is able to drag him down. Good job by Bradley making the penetration, coming off the block, and not being fooled by the quarterback draw.
Keith Burns loves it. His first year back at his alma mater. Played right here at Arkansas. The last 5 years he's been at USC with John Robinson. Trey Amos back inside his 20, waiting for the punt from Daniel Pope. Downwind, a good one. The fair catch called for. And Moss sliding out of bounds with it. As Arkansas, when we come back, will have it outside their own 21. Once again with an 8-point lead.
ESPN2's presentation of SEC football is brought to you by Killian's Irish Red, which reminds you one look says a lot, and by Yamaha, who invites you to visit your local Yamaha dealership to see the entire line of 1998 motorcycles, ATVs, and watercraft.
Shaun Alexander, when he touches it 20 or more times, good things happen for the Crimson Tide. 11 carries so far, Todd, but they have really shut him down and contained him to only 30 yards. So they're doing a good job defensively, the Razorbacks of Arkansas. They come out offensively now from their own 21. Madre Hill getting the bulk of the work across the 25, barely tripped up near the 28. Once again, the free safety, Kelvin Zigler, but Keith Burns has to be pleased with what they're doing.
One of the best interviews, Joel, that I have had as a broadcaster with Keith Burns. Very animated, very excited. Obviously a tremendous coordinator, as you can see there, a very animated communicator.
Well, he told us yesterday, and you brought it up, Melvin Bradley said it's a real key, but they have to have a big game from him. He's doing exactly that as Madre Hill waits for a block. It develops, and he's got the first down. That was real patience by a senior running back to see if he was going to get that little delay to get to the boundary, and he did to the 35.
Also a great job by Joe Dean Davenport, the tight end, who does a great job of sealing the side for Madre Hill. Of course, Joe Dean at this point is getting all the notoriety for his pass catching, but what he does best is blocking at 6'7", 268. I'm sure that he gets a number of corners for those running backs for the Hogs.
He's got his first career touchdown reception tonight. It'll live large forever and ever. It'll grow. It was a 24-yarder. It'll be a 74-yarder a few years from now. Hill, 13 carries, 76 yards, and a first down for the Hogs from their own 35. They took away the underneath route, and he just throws it away. Will it be a grounding call? Alabama wants it.
Well, they were trying to set up the flanker screen, but Alabama, once again, you know, one of the things you can't do when you have all the man coverage that Alabama does, and Alabama, of course, has a great reputation for creating some corners. Get a chance to look at it. This is man coverage. Now take a look. Here's the screen, and it breaks down. Look at all the white shirts are right there. They have no chance. Stoerner does a good job of getting rid of the ball.
And he did have in the general vicinity Anthony Lucas, the wide receiver. So good job by Stoerner to throw it away. His coach told us yesterday, you could tell at the 6 a.m. offseason weight training workouts that this guy was going to be our leader. Very early, he knew he had a good guy. 2nd and 10. Firing it over the head and off the fingertips of his other wideout, Emmanuel Smith, the junior from Clinton, Mississippi.
Tough catch, but even tougher throw. Stoerner had a lot of people in his face, and once again, your guy Wagner, with the spin move at the line of scrimmage, is able to get to him. Wagner spins off his man right in the face of the quarterback, and the ball is just a little bit too high. And again, good coverage on the part of Bama's secondary.
Only 5 minutes into the third quarter. Wagner again with a smile like, I should have had you.
I like that, man. Where else would you want to be on Saturday night?
3.5 sacks of those 7.5 coming this season over the first 2 games. A lot of hurries so far tonight. 3rd and 10. Over the middle, a dangerous throw. Lucas went down. Will he draw a flag? No.
Fernando Bryant with him stride for stride, and he is going after the ball, and that's the reason why he doesn't get the interference penalty. Bryant, an outstanding cornerback, and defensive coordinator Ellis Johnson said as often as they could they wanted to match him up with Lucas because he was their best receiver. Right behind him, he leans out, tries and makes the catch, interlocks the feet. Good non-call by the official.
I wouldn't feel real comfortable right now as a Razorback. They're not doing anything offensively so far in the first 2 possessions of the second half, leading by only 8 as Aiken punts it away again to Richard. Good idea to keep it away, and Richard has to go over to get it and call for the fair catch, but it doesn't make it easy to hit it down the middle. Angles it towards the sideline. 39 yards on the punt. Effective one by Aiken. But now Alabama on their second offensive series of the second half, still only a touchdown and a 2-point conversion away.
I wonder, Joel, if they've been trying a little bit too hard with too many different formations to fool people. Maybe they ought to get with something here. Here they start out with a 3 wide. Maybe they should just go with the set situation. Go with the 2 backs, see what the guy can do.
They start out in the eye with Alexander behind McClintock. He's got 11 carries so far. The option. Alexander with a stiff arm, but can't get away from the defensive back who shut down the play. Coming up, Jeremy Flowers, the bandit. And he lost 5.
That had no chance. No chance from the very beginning. The penetration by Cooper. He's right in the face of the quarterback. He pitches back to Alexander, and Alexander's saying, here comes my negative yardage. I've got no chance. The speed of Arkansas in the front 7. It breaks down right from the beginning. Watch, there's nobody to block here. Right in front, Cooper gets out front, and so Garner, who he's supposed to option off of, can pursue. And as you pointed out, Flowers in there for the stop.
Loss of 5. It's 12 carries now. 25 yards for Shaun Alexander. Plenty of time for Phillips, and throws it behind the intended target. He was looking for Quincy Jackson. Coverage downfield from Barrett, the cornerback, and he was right there with him.
You know, at halftime, Phillips, his numbers were not that bad. He was 7 for 12, but he's only had 35 yards. His inability, Joel, to throw the ball downfield at the intermediate or long routes has really been a problem. 8 for 15 for 43 yards at this point, and I'm pretty sure, Joel, he has not completed a ball longer than 15 yards.
And field position-wise, this is an important 3rd down coming up because they're going to have to punt in the wind from deep in their own territory if they don't get the first down. It's 3rd and a little more than 15, almost 16. 14-6, Arkansas up by 8, our halftime score. Phillips on the play fake with Alexander to buy some time, guns it, and he may get the flag there. No, poking it away, the defensive back, Kanoy Kennedy, and did he get away with one? He really timed it perfectly.
I kind of thought he did too, Joel. I was with you on that.
He was right on the back of the wide receiver.
Well, I thought the receiver in this case did a good job of getting his ball between him, but you know what? Incidental. It was close. That you know, you could say that might have been a decent non-call. I know that when I was playing, I never got it. Oh, sour grape, sorry.
3 and out with a punt. As Moss waits back at the 40. With a punt from Daniel Pope into the wind. Let's see if he keeps it low again like he did before. No, goes high, and he blows one out. What wind, he said. Hit sideways. Crimson Tide touch it all the way back at the 13-yard line, and what a bomb from Daniel Pope. Just what the doctor ordered for a struggling team offensively. Break field position-wise after the 66-yarder from Pope. Razorbacks get it back offensively. Let's head downstairs first, though, to Chris Marlowe. Chris.
Thanks, Joel. Happy to have with me the Southeastern Conference Commissioner, Roy Kramer, and the man who was instrumental in devising, or at least one of the men instrumental in devising the Bowl Championship Series. What was your main objective in devising the BCS?
Well, I think our main objective was to try to put together a true national championship game at the end of the year and to maintain the bowl system as it is. We have all of the conferences involved now, including the Rose Bowl with the Pac-10 and the Big Ten, and I think that gives us a great chance for a great game in the Fiesta Bowl this January to culminate college football.
All right, Roy, stay with us. Let's go back to Joel for the play.
From the 14, Stoerner giving it off. Chikuma tried to break tackles, does exactly that for about 5 past the 19. Back down to Chris.
Right, continuing with Roy Kramer. UCLA Miami canceled this week because of a hurricane. How will that game or that cancellation affect the Bowl Championship Series?
I really don't think it'll have a great effect on it. UCLA plays in a very strong conference with the Pac-10. I think they'll more than make up their rating in the regular season, so I don't think it'll have a big effect at all.
Should they make it up?
Well, I think most people would like to see them play that, but I'll let them make that decision. That's their athletic director's decision.
All right, congratulations on a great idea, and let's hope it comes to fruition.
Thank you very much.
Roy Kramer, our guest, back to you.
Thank you. Chikuma sliding off his tackle outside the 25, and he's got a first down. So Chris Chikuma getting his opportunity in the second half.
First name is Chrysanthus. I find that very entertaining. A great story told by Houston Nutt with regards to Chikuma, averaging 137 yards in the first 2 games. Obviously, they're saying, hey, you're running well. We're going to start you. And what does Chikuma say?
He said Madre Hill is a senior, and Madre Hill deserves the opportunity.
Very humble.
I like that.
I do, too.
And we'll get back to that thought in just a second. On first down, Chikuma really racked up, but still won't quit on the play as he's met by Travis Smith. We head back to the studio. Mike Adamle. Mike.
All right, Joel and Todd, after last week's exhilarating overtime win against Florida, Tennessee not about to stub its toe against winless Houston. T. Martin executes the screen pass to perfection, and then Sean Bryson, the volunteer fullback, does the rest. 63 yards in all, and the Volunteers lead comfortably by 3 touchdowns. Guys?
All right, Mike, we were just talking about deferring to Madre Hill. That took Houston Nutt by surprise. Finish that thought on 2nd and 8. Plenty of time throwing it wide, but getting a break, and the wide receiver Smith breaks a tackle. Smith holding onto it inside the 40, all the way down to the 37. Finally pulled down by Michael Fegan.
You know, Joel, Clint Stoerner has kind of a Joe Cap thing working, and what I mean by that is he may not be terribly pretty, but he continues to get the job done. You see him in the pocket, he hesitates. The wide receivers come downfield. His ability to hesitate in the pocket, take advantage, enables Smith to free himself and extricate himself from the defenders. He comes downfield and gets the big play, but it's Stoerner in the pocket, able to buy time with his 6', 220-pound frame that enables that play to work.
Madre Hill taken down quickly outside of the 36, given the 36-yard line for a yard, but it's interesting. First, Stoerner, to me, looks like he's throwing off his back foot a lot, like he doesn't finish and really step into his throw. But to complete the thought on Madre Hill starting as opposed to, and the story that would never end, as opposed to Chikuma, Houston Nutt said, I didn't know how to respond to it. I thought, wait a minute, I want to take charge guy here, and this guy's saying he doesn't want to start. Well, he was just trying to be, as you said, very humble.
Defer to the senior. Yep.
Madre Hill's back in there on 2nd and 9. Blitz coming up the middle. Had a good job by Stoerner to avoid the sack. Is it just me, or now obviously he's throwing it away there and he's off his back foot, but technically, what do you see?
Well, that's why I made the comparison to Joe Kapp. Nobody's going to make a clinic of how Stoerner drops back and throws the football, but he continues to get the job done and to make some very difficult throws. There are plenty of quarterbacks that do everything just right, have the ball by the ear, take the steps, but they can't make plays. This is a guy that makes plays. And right there, instead of taking the sack, Trevor Smith once again all over the field, he's able to get rid of the ball.
Got 11 completions for 189 yards and a couple of touchdown tosses. That's in 25 attempts out of the shotgun. Wide open over the middle. The wide receiver for the easy score. Michael Snowden is second of the night. Talk about a blown assignment.
Boy, there really was. Both corners came on the blitz, and Snowden comes across the field, and there's absolutely nobody there in center field.
36 yards on the score, and that time, I don't care if it was off the back foot or not, he caught him right in stride.
Well, once again, that's the second game in a row in which Stoerner has thrown 3 touchdown passes. And as I say, he may not be pretty, but I'm a guy that's substance over style. He can play quarterback for me. Not that I have a team.
Ladderette with the extra point. And now some breathing room for the Hogs in their SEC opener. Nutt, as in Houston, he's a tough one to crack. And right now, he's up by 15 with 5:44 left in the third.
ESPN2's presentation of SEC football is brought to you by Isuzu, specialized worldwide builders of adventure machines. Isuzu, go farther. And by First Plus Financial. At First Plus, you don't need equity, you just need a home.
Okay.
It was an 86-yard drive for the Razorbacks. A couple of first time Arkansas has ever scored 3 touchdowns in a game against Alabama. And the first time in the 9-game series that either Arkansas or Alabama has been able to score 20 or more points. It's taken to the near side by Renando Bryant. Bryant busting past the 20, angling it back between the hash marks to the 26. And a look back at the score.
Joel, as you pointed out, clearly this is a blown assignment. Miguel Merritt, the strong safety, is sitting right here. He's going to come on the blitz. Now the slant route. You're asking to yourself, who is in the middle of the field? Faust is the free safety in that situation, and I don't know if it was his responsibility or not, but clearly there was a lot of free green for Snowden to pick from, as you can see right there. Houston Nutt very happy with his quarterback.
You know, the guy's got to get involved with his team more.
Yeah.
Houston Nutt. And we'll talk about that as well, because he'll head into the classroom from time to time and join the guys to make sure they're staying on top of the situation. McClintock, or make it Shaun Alexander, rather, can't get out of the backfield. Good pursuit. Staying at home on the play, Harry Wilson, senior from Helena, Montana. And Melvin Bradley once again. 7 plays, 86 yards, didn't even take 3 minutes. And only 3 career touchdowns for Michael Snowden, but 2 have come this evening.
Well, you know, and Stoerner has thrown for over 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, but it doesn't, is it just me or it doesn't feel like it? Does that make sense?
Maybe it's that back foot thing.
Yeah.
It's not a zinger in there.
Well, no, it doesn't overwhelm you is what I'm saying.
Doesn't throw a lot of fastballs, does he?
Right, right.
From the 26, out of the shotgun, Phillips with room to roam. He takes a shot downfield by Painter, the roverback. Good-looking safety. They call him the roverback. He's got 9 yards, though. John David Phillips leaving the pocket.
Take a look at the pass rush for Arkansas, and this is why things are breaking down. Getting the push backward, you can see Bradley, and Phillips has to take off to make the play in the middle of the field. And, you know, we compliment his toughness, Joel, but he has taken some shots tonight. There's a guy that definitely be in the whirlpool either tonight or tomorrow.
Now 3rd and short. Bama only 2 of 10 on their 3rd down tries. With Phillips banged up, called his own number. No, Alexander, forget it. Knifing through early, Quinton Caver. We talked about his overall talent early. One of the best defensively.
But now there's little hesitation on the sidelines, because I think that Coach DeBose actually debated about going for it here on 4th down. But Caver created such a loss that now it's 4th and about 2.5, and so they're going to be forced to punt. Look at Caver knifing through right there. Absolutely no help for Alexander. After having enjoyed really a two-game honeymoon, if you think about it, Joel, 160 yards a game, 8 touchdowns. Coming into this game, he has been completely shut down.
It's the 6th time that Alexander has been thrown for a loss this evening. So 3 and out with a punt once again. Moss waiting back deep. The punt from Aiken. Or make it Daniel Pope, rather. Calling for the fair catch early. Takes it in cleanly back outside of his own 15. That was the 9th possession of the game for Alabama. 5 times they have gone 3 and out with a punt. Twice they've gone 1 first down and a punt. So 7 out of 9 only. 1 first down or less. Not much offense, to say the least. Well, tomorrow night, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. The Bengals on the road. Camden Yards, the new Ravens ballpark there. Join us tomorrow night. Cincinnati matching up with Baltimore. And then Monday night on ABC Sports. Monday Night Football. It all starts at that new time at 8 o'clock Eastern. Tampa Bay tackling, or at least trying to tackle, Barry Sanders and the Detroit Lions. The Bucs facing off with the Lions on Monday Night Football. Chikuma breaking the tackle and reversing his field. And plus yardage. He gets 4 up to the 20-yard line. Keith Burns, he never lacks energy. In our meeting yesterday, we thought he was going to bolt on us.
Well, I think one of the things that he's emphasizing here is you have a 15-point lead. Alabama doesn't look so good. Do yourselves a favor. Do not let down. As you pointed out, Joel, yeah, 21-6. Arkansas is dominating, but that's 2 scores. You know what? That's 2 scores and 2 two-point conversions, and they're ahead. So they can't afford the luxury of resting on their laurels.
Keith Burns could have stayed in Southern California. He could have stayed there. Bob Toledo possibly using him at UCLA, but he wanted to come back to his alma mater and turn things around with Houston Nutt. Weaving his way, Chikuma. Breaking tackles for a first down across the 30. 2.5 minutes left in the third, and that may be the mode of operation the rest of the way. Madre Hill and Chikuma as we check in with Mike Adamle. Mike?
All right, Joel and Todd and Chapel Hill, ACC opener for Georgia Tech and North Carolina, and Tech scores first. Joel Hamilton rolling right, finding Charlie Rogers in the end zone for the touchdown. Tech has not won in Chapel Hill since World War II, guys.
Just since World War II, Mike? Well, a 7-0 lead. Perfect pass in the end zone. Chikuma, he goes to the boundary. I think he goes a long way. He'll take 5-6 on first down anyway. And keeps the clock moving. Barbecue elephant ears. You had those before the game, didn't you, Todd? No, I forgot you're a vegetarian.
Yeah. Well, you know what, Joel? Truly the feelings are running high. As you pointed out earlier, Alabama or Arkansas has never beaten Alabama in their home state. This would be absolutely huge for the home folks.
So far, the honeymoon is continuing for Houston Nutt, trying to go 3-0 to start his career as the head coach of the Razorbacks. Chikuma, only a couple across the 37 to the 38. Maybe a yard then. And it'll be Madre Hill, in fact, taking over for Chikuma. Trevis Smith, first one in there.
Well, we've been pumping up Stoerner in terms of all the good things that he has done, but that hasn't necessarily meant that Arkansas has not been able to run the ball. Both Madre Hill and Chris Chikuma are putting up some nice yards.
Chikuma just went over to the sideline with 12 carries for 65 yards. Madre Hill was the workaholic in the first 30 minutes of play. Chikuma just starting to pick up the pace. Combined, they're well over 100 yards, though. Final minute of the third quarter. Trying to get outside the containment. Good job again by Stoerner to buy some time. Wagner wants him, though, and takes a shot at him at the end of the play. But the tight end, Joe Dean Davenport, comes through. And he's got a first down and a flag. I believe a late hit on Wagner. What a shot on the quarterback.
You know what? I got to tell you, though. I know that I'm stealing this. I know that I'm stealing this line from somebody in Sports Center, but I got to say it. Joe Dean Davenport. You just can't stop him. You can only hope to contain him. You pointed it out once again. That's great. That's great pursuit, but he just can't get a hold of him. Stoerner buys time, as you pointed out, throws the ball downfield, and the frustration for Wagner is a helmet between the 1 and 4 and Stoerner. Good call by the official.
An opportunity to expand the lead. Record-setting night for Joe Dean Davenport. Started 9 games last year and had all of 8 catches. He only 1 catch coming in. He got his first career touchdown earlier this evening. Those are monster numbers.
Joel, all I can tell you is that if I was 6'7", 268, I'd have had a new wardrobe.
First and 10 at the 33 after the mark-off. Encroachment, no flag though. And Madre Hill almost busting it for a big one.
Well, as the clock winds down here in the third quarter, it's quite obvious, Joel, that the Alabama defense has been on the field just much too long. All of the 3 and outs for Alabama's offense are taking its toll now on the Alabama defense, and they're freely substituting, trying to get some new people in, some fresh people in. But the offensive line for Arkansas, in this case, Grant Garrett, Russ Brown, Brandon Burlsworth, Chad Abernathy, and Bobby Williams, they are dominating the line of scrimmage. It's been a Hogs night thus far in these first 3 quarters.
Arkansas continues to dominate as we get the fourth quarter started, especially the play of the offensive line led by that young man, Brandon Burlsworth, working on his masters, second team All-SEC last year. You look at the glasses, you look at the face. Does he write for the Daily Planet?
I'm telling you what, 3.53 in business management as a graduate. I think the reason he's doing that is that way he doesn't have to have an agent when he represents his pro deal.
Madre Hill, one man to beat, and Zigler knocks him out of bounds inside the 5, first and goal, Razorbacks. And now you talked about it right at the end of the third quarter. 23, make it 24 first downs now for Arkansas compared to only 5 for Alabama. 85 degrees at the start of the game, 65% humidity. Tough for that defensive unit to be on that long.
And once again, a great job by the offensive line. They're able to get that corner from Madre Hill. Look at the numbers combined, over 170 yards on 29 carries between the two. I'm one of those people, Joel, that's not a big fan of running back by committee, but it's certainly been effective tonight for the Hogs.
And obviously, Chakuma doesn't mind deferring to the senior. We told that story earlier. He likes playing behind Madre Hill. It's Chakuma diving, lunging. What an effort. He's inches shy.
Now, here's an interesting point, too, Joel, with regards to that. Speaking of unselfish, Madre Hill's the guy that gets the big run down inside the 5-yard line, and what happens? Chakuma comes in, and more than likely he's going to end up scoring the touchdown. That says a lot about the relationship between these two young men.
Well, Chakuma last year was sidelined after the 4th game with a back injury. They were 3-1 with him, 1-6 without him.
Oh, he's a player. You know what? You talked about it earlier. His hometown is Montgomery, Alabama. Don't tell me that he's not thrilled with what's happening here tonight.
In the eye. Chakuma. And Arkansas just keeps rolling it up now on Alabama. A minute into the fourth quarter. I think it's safe to say that this could be, in the decade of the 90s, has been a disappointment for the Razorback program, but this could be one of, if not their biggest win in this decade.
You know, we asked Houston Nutt that yesterday in his head coaching career. I said, would this be the biggest win in your in your coaching career as a head coach? And of course, his response was, you know, he wanted to hedge his bet, but the more we talked about it, the more it was obvious that he, you know, basically admitted to the fact that yes, indeed, it would be.
Latterette splits the upright, so that's back-to-back drives of 84 yards on that possession. The previous possession, 86 yards, and that Alabama defense can't take much more.
One of the things that bespeaks fatigue is when on a 1-yard run, a guy can come in standing up. The offensive line, take a look right here at the line of scrimmage. Watch the Cardinal shirts push the white shirts, and watch Chakuma come in standing up. This says a lot about the fatigue of Alabama, but also, look at that. Look at the push right here. Wow. What a great job by the offensive line of Arkansas.
28-6, the most either team has ever scored against the other. And this is the 9th game of the series as Arkansas is on their way to beating Alabama for the first time ever in the state. It's funny, though, they won their last two. The only 2 games they've beaten Alabama, they beat them in Tuscaloosa, 95 and 97. Latterette gets ready to kick it away. A sold-out crowd. They split the series, the home games between Little Rock and Fayetteville. Interesting scenario. 3 hours away at Little Rock, but great support in both places because now they're selling out every game.
One thing we might look for here in the fourth quarter, although he hasn't warmed up yet, is a young Andrew Zhao, highly recruited freshman from Florida, that a number of the Alabama people are quite high on. He's somebody that we could see sometime in the fourth quarter if indeed this game continues to get out of hand.
Arvin Richard will take it, pinning over the boundary at the 2. They leave their lane and did a good job to get it across the 20. So he went outside the containment and got it past the 20 to the 22-yard line. Now let's head back to the studio. What's the latest, Mike? Mike Adams.
All right, Joel and Todd in Austin, 2 old Southwest Conference rivals meeting for the 84th time. Texas and Rice and the Horns, Major Applewhite over the top to Derek Lewis, 42 yards. Texas on top, 35-7. Ricky Williams has 3 touchdowns, so he's back on track. Guys?
What a great name for a player, huh? Major Applewhite. I love that.
28-6 here. Major Applewhite. that leads the league in the name list. Underneath, Shaun Alexander, that kind of night, drops the ball. He's had 6 drops behind the line, and not dropping the ball, but drops for losses, where they've been in the backfield and wrapped him up too soon.
There's Zhao, the quarterback we were talking about, Joel, and frankly, I'm surprised. This would be a great opportunity to get a young man in against a quality team, needless to say, in Arkansas, give him some experience in a game that, you know, again, I'm not saying it's completely lost, but all the good things that I've been hearing about him, but this is a young man with a big future.
John David Phillips stays in there, though, and do they want to put him in when the defense is pinning their ears back and going after the quarterback like this situation? A sack of Phillips, who does a good job just to hang on to the ball. And getting in there first, it was Randy Gardner, the left end.
Well, Gardner gets the sack, but really that was pretty good protection. We're looking at about 4.5 seconds that he had to throw. But you know, Joel, I can't say this enough. The secondary, Kennedy, Flowers, et al., these people have been covering people downfield. And I really thought that Alabama felt they had an advantage there.
Overshooting the wideout. He wanted Quincy Jackson on the sideline. He had a first down if he gets it down. Instead, with a 3rd consecutive time in the second half, 3 and out with a punt, and Keith Burns loving every second of it. The co-defensive coordinator here along with Bobby Allen.
I need to mention that both Barrett and Green, the cornerbacks for Arkansas, have been excellent this evening. I think that they felt because of that strange alignment that the corners couldn't cover, they have done a very good job this evening.
Another punt for Pope. And a returnable one, although no call for the fair catch. Moss will take it in back at the 39. Arkansas in the driver's seat, gets it right back.
ESPN2's presentation of SEC football is brought to you by the all-new BMW 3 Series. Everything your car does well, it does brilliantly. And by DoubleTree Hotels, guest suites and resorts. Sweet dreams from DoubleTree.
Mary Trent is going to be up in Fayetteville with a moon like that over a sold-out stadium, and a win over Alabama for the first time in Arkansas. Just for the piece may be busy before the weekend is over. Razorbacks get it back at their own 39, 2 minutes into the 4th quarter, leading 28-6. And going for the bundle, Stoerner has the wide receiver, but it's taken away from Anthony Lucas at the last second on the coverage. Coming over. Was that Fernando Bryant? Yes.
I tell you what, that was outstanding coverage. It was Keff Bailey on the coverage, but the thing is that it was a post pattern, no free safety, and he has to come around his body to make the play, and Bailey was able to do that. It's a tough play for a corner.
He's a sophomore from Tuscaloosa. So when we think they're going to run the ball, instead they go for the home run. It'll be 2nd and 10. Andre Hill back in there, only a yard to the 40. It's almost 4-1 in total net yards of offense for Arkansas over Alabama. And it could have been worse because they squandered opportunities in the first half. It was only 14-6 at the break if you joined us late. And so many scoring chances with great field positions for the Razorbacks.
Well, again, you got to give a lot of credit to the front 5 of Alabama, rather the front 6. You have to include the tight end there. They have been outstanding. They have dominated the line of scrimmage.
3rd and 9 from the 40. Stoerner out of the shotgun, 4 wide receivers setting up. And he had Lucas again, just wide of his intended target. Bailey covering, and the free safety coming over as well, Zigler.
Interesting set of calls there, Joel. Up 28-6 with 12.5 minutes left in the game. Throwing the ball upfield like that as opposed to taking some time off the clock, running as effectively as they had the last couple of series.
First time they've gone 3 and out with a punt in the second half. Richard waiting back at the 20 with the punt from Aiken. And he sends out a beauty. As Richard backpedaling will have it at the 15. Very quiet now. Home of the Razorbacks. They'll erupt a little bit later, though, after the 45-yard punt. They're on top by. After scoring 38 points against BYU in their opener and racking up just about 400 yards of total offense, Alabama has it back offensively, and their offense, for the most part tonight, Todd, has been a no-show.
Well, the numbers don't lie in this case. First downs nearly 5-1. rushing yards. Everybody thought Shaun Alexander would have a big game. Phillips has done nothing in the passing. 112 yards total offense through 3 quarters. Not good.
Phillips out of the shotgun, picked off inside the 15. And Arkansas gets it right back as Jeremy Flowers, the bandit, stepped in front and took it away.
Well, I want to say that Jeremy Flowers made a great play, but what he does is he comes off his receiver and he's able to see it to the outside. Little pressure by Garner, but you can see at the top of your screen, Flowers comes off of his receiver and steps right in front. And if the ball doesn't drag him down, he goes the distance. Take a look. He goes completely out to the flat. A little bit of guesswork, and he was right.
He really read the quarterback's eyes well because he released the slot man, Quincy Jackson, down the seam and just looked at the quarterback. Good play. 1st and 10, just outside of the 12. Madre Hill angling it back up the middle after starting over to the left side, taking it down to the 8.
Arkansas opting for the 2 tight end set here, trying to run the ball between the tackles, and why not? Flowers a happy man tonight. As I pointed out last year, that secondary was maligned. You know, they had that Elvis Patterson toast thing working for the longest time, but tonight they've done a great job of shutting down the receivers. There's a man who will certainly have better days, but he's had it handed to him thus far.
Madre Hill has been kept out of the end zone. It's his turn. Let's see if he can get there. Madre Hill with a block. Finally gets in. The senior from Malvern, Arkansas, did everything but score a touchdown tonight, and now he's on the board.
I got to tell you, Joel, another thing that has impressed me with Arkansas this evening has been the blocking by the wide receivers.
Yes.
In this case, Michael Williams pins his man in the end zone. If you recall, Joe Dean Davenport was helped by a couple of blocks downfield. The wide receivers for Arkansas are not just pass catchers. They're excellent blockers.
8 yards on the score, 120 yards on the ground for Hill on 20 carries. Latterette with the extra point. If you're wondering about Todd Latterette, yes, he's the nephew of Chuck Latterette, who used to be a kicker for the old St. Louis Cardinals. Back to the studio, Mike.
All right, Joel and Todd, Georgia Tech starting to pull away from North Carolina. Watch here, Joel Hamilton fakes the option and then goes up top to David Powell for 39 yards. That was capped off by this 6-yard run by Charles Wiley. Tech up 17-0 at this point, and without Oscar Davenport and Ronald Curry getting on the job training, Carolina just can't score, guys.
All right. Does Mac Brown mean that much to the North Carolina program? Losing by 17 at home tonight.
Didn't Mike say that it had been if they win, it's the first time since like World War II or something?
You got it.
Well, the offensive line for Arkansas has been so dominant, as we pointed out. Now watch in the middle of your screen. You're going to see Williams downfield. Now here's where you should see a cornerback come up and support, but instead the cornerback's busy with Williams in the end zone. Take a look at that block. What a great job. And Madre Hill, the beneficiary, he has the largesse, a touchdown, as you pointed out.
Great news for Arkansas Razorback fans. Michael Williams, who provided that block, along with Anthony Lucas and Hubert Loudermilk, their first 3 wide receivers, are all juniors. Latterette with Richard and Bryant back deep. And they'll stay in the end zone. Arkansas now has scored on 3 of their last 4 possessions. All 3 touchdowns to break it wide open. Well, serious football fans, order the ESPN game plan. College football pay-per-view package. Look at up to 100 college football games with the Big 10, the Big 12, the ACC, as well as the SEC, Pac-10, Big East, and WAC conferences. To order, all you have to do is call DirecTV, Prime Star, Echo Star, or call your local cable company. Phillips back on the field despite the 35-6 score inside of 11 minutes to go. Alexander indecisively losing more yardage. Marty Aronoff handling our numbers upstairs, and I believe that is the 7th time he's carried the ball for negative yardage.
Well, it was a good thing that we didn't hand him the Heisman prior to the game, as so many times you're prone to do, Joel, when you want to hype somebody into a frenzy. Shaun Alexander is certainly a quality back, but it just hasn't been his night.
Phillips in trouble and gets back to the line of scrimmage. No sack, but still. Sasha Lancaster getting in on it. Redshirt freshman from San Antonio, so plenty of reserves now with the opportunity to play for Arkansas. The disappointment continues, though, for Shaun Alexander. 14 carries for only 15 yards tonight. going for the wide receiver, Quincy Jackson. He's got enough for the first down. Cradling it. Good grab.
You know what, though, Joel? The thing that stands out about that graphic is the amazing contrast. Nearly, 340 yards nearly in those first 2 games and 8 touchdowns. He hasn't been within sniffing distance of the end zone. And once again, naturally, a good play for Alabama has to be brought back by a penalty. Those are the numbers that we were just talking about. Shaun Alexander, had been Alexander the Great the first 2 times around, but clearly the Arkansas defense keying on him all over the field in the passing game and in the running game. He just has not been able to shake loose.
Well, they had 206 yards against Vanderbilt, 115 yards against BYU. Don't have to say anything about Vanderbilt. They've had their problems in the past. BYU is not the same BYU team of the past.
Yeah, but they're a pretty good defense.
And so now 3rd and long out of his own end zone. Phillips flags on the play and a dead ball foul coming up.
We have a legal snap on the offense. The whistle was not blown to begin the play.
Well, that sums it all up for Mike DuBose and Alabama tonight. That kind of call.
The word beleaguered comes to mind when you look at that face. It's one thing, Joel, to get beat. It's another thing to have the misplays and the penalties and the mistakes and the jumping off sides and the motion penalties and people in the wrong spots and their quarterback throwing the ball all over the field. It just has to be frustrating, particularly as well as they played the last 2 weeks.
And the kind of pressure Mike DuBose has on him. 4-7 last year, losing 4 times in Tuscaloosa. 4-7, their worst record since 1957. Tough times for the Crimson Tide. Alexander on the delay. Fumbles it at the 2. Does Arkansas get it again? Yes, they do. Coming out with it, Harry Wilson, senior linebacker. What else can go wrong for the Crimson Tide?
Joel, I'm not much for cliches. Oh yeah, but I can't help but see that little lady, on the side of the Morton salt bottle. Remember that when you were a kid? Yes. When it rains, it pours. Remember that? That's what's happening here. I mean, just everything that could go wrong for Alabama does. The draw play to Alexander, underneath handoff, has a decent hold, but Garner strips him of the ball along with Wilson. Arkansas comes up with the ball.
New running back in there. The tailback is going to be over to the left side. Rod Stinson, can he get to the goal line? No, he stopped just short at the 1, so they're trying to get everybody involved. Chukwuma's already got a touchdown, so does Madre Hill the last time, and they said Stinson may be the quickest of all 3 of the running backs. He may be the biggest home run threat. He is a sophomore from Pine Bluff, averaging 25 yards on kickoff returns so far this season. They're deep at the tailback spot. Mentioned all 3 wide receivers are only juniors. And Stoerner, the quarterback, is only a junior. Trying to add to their 35-6 lead. Stinson trying the right side. To the corner he goes. Breaking a tackle. He's in. Touchdown, Arkansas.
Well, Dixon, the free safety, was the guy that got him before. He gets back to the 5-yard line. He almost had him again, but the persistence of Stinson and the great job by the offensive line, particularly the tight ends of Arkansas, on holding people out on the corner, enables him to score.
Latterette for the extra point. And if you're in Arkansas or making an Alabama fan, you can't wait for the next 8:43 to run off that clock.
Then again, though, Joel, as you pointed out, if you're an Arkansas fan with only 2 winning records in the 90s, you have to enjoy this for all it's worth as Stinson gets in to give him an insurmountable 36-point lead.
Back-to-back 4-7 seasons for the Razorbacks of Arkansas, but that was under the previous regime. Houston Nutt hasn't lost yet as their head coach. He's 3-0 after the win tonight over the Crimson Tide of Alabama, beating Alabama here for the very first time.
Joel, right this minute, the man is Einstein.
And the honeymoon continues. It's going to be Arvin Richards. Spun around and out of bounds past the 20 as we check in once again down to the sideline with Chris Marlowe. Chris.
All right, when the Hogs score 42 points, this Hog gets his choice of what to eat. Tonight it is cantaloupe, gorging himself. This is the Arkansas mascot. Technically, he's not a Razorback. He is a Russian boar. His name is Tusk. He lives at the Little Rock Zoo, and you can't let him out or he'll eat you up. And speaking of eating, with all the pork consumed tonight, this guy is the only safe hog in Arkansas.
I'm told Tusk likes Fleetwood Mac. Shaun Alexander losing yardage on first down, loses about 3. So that's the only hog we found that is a vegetarian.
You know, many people felt that Dostoevsky was too, but I disagree. No. What are you laughing at? You don't know what I'm getting at.
I'm waiting.
No. Many felt that Dostoevsky was also a Russian boar, but I don't agree. I found him fascinating.
Oh,
yeah, you didn't know where I was going.
Plenty of pork tonight. And I won't even bring up the ham.
Well, I got to tell you, a couple hours ago, I had his little brother, and he's darn good.
Second and about 13. Alexander. Painter coming up from the secondary. Well, Arkansas tried to turn things around at the end of the decade because it has been so disappointing over the first 8 years. 44% in the 90s. Great years in the 60s, of course, with Frank Broyles into the 70s, still at 71%, and the 80s as well at almost 72%. But 5 head coaches over the last 10 years. I think they've got one they're going to stick with for some time. Just a hunch.
It's amazing when you win how all of a sudden amnesia comes over you and those previous 3 decades disappear, isn't it? Winning is the panacea, man. It fixes everything.
Third and about 7. Alexander into the secondary on the delay. He's got the first down and keeps the clock going as soon as they move the chains.
Are you surprised here to see him still in the game? I'm thinking that at 42-6 and you're Stone Star, I mean, that's all well and good to get some meaningless stats. But if for whatever reason this guy were to get an ankle or a hamstring here, oh, man. You know, Coach DeBose would not be forgiven. I'm surprised that they haven't made some substitutions here, giving some younger people an opportunity to get some game experience.
First team wide receivers are still in there. Quincy Jackson's still in there along with Calvin Hall. They just brought in Eric Locke. And it's going to be Alexander taking a pounding. As soon as he got the ball, Norman Nero, a senior from Atmore, Alabama. They're looking at Stoerner. Now, Stoerner's right hand was injured earlier in the contest, but a flag down to the play, and it's going to go against Alabama. But he wanted to continue. He hit a helmet, throwing the ball. And now we know he's okay. He's riding well.
Oh, man.
How about them Hogs?
We got fooled. Oh, let's check him out. I wonder if he's hurt. And instead it's how about them Hogs. You know what, though? This bespeaks what you talked about earlier with regards to Houston Nutt and his relationship with the players. Now, how many coaches would allow that to happen on the sidelines, to let your star quarterback draw something up and try and incite the crowd and get them fired up like that? I mean, Houston Nutt is certainly a player's coach, and you could tell that these people are having fun.
Well, he said we weren't a team when I got here. He said they splintered after it was weight room or after practice. They just splintered. They never stayed together, and I asked him why they didn't hang together. All of a sudden, they started getting together in groups. And now they're coming together as a unit. That was 1st and 15. Houston Nutt also told us, he said they were shocked when they'd see me in the back of their classroom. And all of a sudden, I knew the first name of the professor. And they wondered what I was doing. I just wanted to make sure they knew what they were doing. So he's done all the little things.
Well, you know what? You emphasized something else earlier, which I thought is a relevant point, and that's the relative youth of their coaching staff. It's much easier for these collegiate kids to identify, and that's taking nothing away from, you know, some of the septuagenarians like Joe Paterno and Bobby Bowden. It's just that, you know, sometimes the young people have more of an identity with people who are a little bit closer, as well as some of the parents. In most cases, you've got coaches of the same age as their parents, and there's a relationship, and that certainly helps in recruiting.
Well, the oldest coach on the staff, we talked about at the very top of the broadcast. He's in the background there, Joe Ferguson, former Buffalo Bill quarterback, and he's only in his 2nd season. Record-setting quarterback here for the Razorbacks.
He's a great guy to have on the staff because you have a guy that has done it on the professional ranks, and that has a lot of credibility for young people.
Houston Nutt, he'll turn 41 in just about 4 weeks. You got youth on your side, though, and you're right.
Substitution. 12 men in the huddle, more than 3 seconds on the offense.
They're in double digits in penalties. That is the 14th.
Well, George Bernard Shaw was famous for saying that youth is wasted on the young, but not tonight. It goes to the young people, the coaching staff for Arkansas.
Time for the BMW storyline. Alexander held to 39 yards on 20 carries, while Madre Hill, phenomenal out of the backfield. Almost 100 yards as well for Chikuma. And 435 to 136 just a couple of minutes ago. It was pretty close to 4-1. for the Razorbacks.
Now, Joel, if either you or I had so does that mean they get the yardage back, right?
Yardage back and lose the timeout on the board. I don't think they're concerned about that with 5:06 left in the contest. Down 42-6.
Don't you think so, King?
Yes, did a great job.
And does it surprise you that your son is the head coach at Arkansas?
Well, not really. I expected that someday he would be back here, but it's a little bit sooner than we expected.
Houston Senior, how good is this Arkansas team, and how far can it go, do you suppose?
Well, I tell you what, I think right now he's got these boys believing they can win. And I think what it is, these boys came in, and when the coaches came in and took over, and they really got together and got their head together, and they really, I mean, when they really got together, and I felt like, well, they're going to have a good team. And I'm real proud of the boys, and they worked hard, and they did this way back there in the spring, and I'm just real proud of them.
I tell you, you're jacked up tonight. You could have played in this game, couldn't you?
I believe I could.
That's going nutty here in Arkansas. Back to you.
All right, Chris. I'd get fired up in the huddle with Houston Senior. I don't know about you, Todd.
I was just about to say, I'm sure that man, too, was a player's coach in whatever sport he coached. Congratulations to him. He's got every right to be happy this evening.
Daniel Pope punted it away. Fair catch, and it's taken back by Moss at around the 15-yard line. Back to the studio and Mike Adamley. Mike?
Well, Joel and Todd, if he's not on your list already, add this guy to the serious Heisman Trophy candidate list. Jamal Lewis of Tennessee. Power and speed to burn, 59 yards in all. Tennessee in a roll over Houston down in Neyland Stadium, guys.
You know what, Joel? He reminds me of a tailback at Northwestern in 1970. The guy's name escapes me, but he looks exactly like him. Power and speed. Shorter guy, about 5'9". Adamson.
What was his name again?
I can't. He's a good player.
In the eye, Jared McBride takes over at quarterback, the high school player of the year in the state of Arkansas from Nashville, Arkansas, giving it off to Eric Branch, the sophomore from Carter High School in Dallas. So all the reserves getting the opportunity now for Houston Nutt. The final 4.5 minutes of play. Jared McBride, a redshirt freshman at 6'4", 195. He threw for 53 touchdowns his senior season and over 4,000 yards. Nashville, Arkansas. Second and a little more than 5. Huge hole up the middle for Branch. He's got the first down up to the 30-yard line. Nobody could have anticipated the way the series has gone that it would be a blowout for either team. Even at halftime, Todd, neither side could get it going all that much offensively. Squandered opportunities, the story for Arkansas in the first 30.
Well, you know, the last couple of years, people were talking about how Arkansas may have been underachieving, that they really did have some athletes. Well, obviously, offensively, we see the 42 points, but where I've been impressed is Arkansas on defense. They have some people that can hit and can run around and can cover. And in the final analysis, if you play poorly, but your defense stops people as they did this evening, you have a chance to go a long way.
It's going to be Branch angling it back, and he's ridden in a hurry. Won't quit in the play. Still loses about 3 or 4, though.
But he should have. Travis Smith was in the hole, and there's one of the people for Alabama that's been playing very well tonight. Travis Smith has been all over the field.
I am looking forward to next weekend
in
Little Rock. We'll have some fun. Kentucky at Little Rock to match up with the 3-0 Razorbacks. Then it's going to be at the University of Memphis, matching up with South Carolina. And South Carolina got thumped today. A week off to get ready for the Auburn Tigers. So when you look at it, if they can get past Kentucky at Little Rock, it could be undefeated all the way through Auburn. Inside of 3 minutes left. And fortunately for Alabama, there's no 2-minute warning in college football. Fullback lifted up early. That's a dead ball foul.
Well, he was anxious.
to celebrate.
Time. Yeah. I'm going to show you, Coach. I'm going to take out that backer.
They say that Marvin Casson, the fullback who came up early, is the best blocker among the fullbacks. He's a former linebacker, 6 feet, 235.
Well, that figures. A lot of converted linebackers play fullback.
He has just departed. Morgan Keys comes in.
Illegal motion, offense. Penalty is declined. Down is 3.
Third down.
36. That's a fullback number, too. Remember Steve Owens at Oklahoma? Wasn't he 36?
You got it.
That always
Good
sounds
memory.
like a fullback number.
Good memory.
36, 38, 39, those sorts of numbers. I remember O.J. Anderson once when he was playing talked about that. He said that numbers a lot of times tell speed. What really bugged me is he said 46 meant you were slow. But if you're 20 or 22, you know you can fly.
First pass of the career of McBride. Make it the second. He had one earlier over the first 2 games, and it's off the fingertips of the wide receiver. So it's going to be a punting situation. He went after Tim Craig. Aiken will punt it away, and Alabama will get it one more time. It was a 14-8 lead, only a 6-point lead for Arkansas at the break. 28-0 in the second half for the Razorbacks. Richard takes it on the run. He'll get it up to the 41-42 yard line. Another update now with Mike.
All right, Joel and Todd, Super Prep All-America Ronald Curry, now a North Carolina freshman, getting a Rube baptism of fire. Watch here, sacked by Nate Stimson. The ball picked up by Roderick Roberts. He goes 42 yards in all. Tech leads 24-7. You can get all the scores and highlights on ESPN. Larry Beal, Residency College game night after that game, guys.
All right, Mike, fortunately for North Carolina, there's still a lot of time left there. It's still 90 seconds left in the first half.
Heard a lot of good things about that Ronald Curry, arguably the most recruited young man, both football and basketball. Great athlete.
Zhao is taken over at quarterback. And the running back past the midfield stripe, picking up about 8-9 yards. It's still Shaun Alexander, believe it or not. And the National Car Rental players of the game tonight from Alabama, Kelvin Zigler, double digits in tackles once again, 12 of the 13 unassisted. He held him in check in the first half, couldn't do it in the second half, on the field too long. And Clint Stoerner, the quarterback for the Razorbacks, 3 touchdown tosses, matching his career high, 13 of 29 for 239 yards. National Car Rental proud to donate $1,000 to each school's general scholarship fund on behalf of those athletes.
Remember, Zigler was also the guy that had 2 caused fumbles there in the first half. And even though 13 for 29, less than 50%, the issue with Stoerner is that when they had to make the big plays, he did make them. I like Zigler a lot. I like him at corner. I like him at safety. 186, you think he isn't big enough, but boy, he's scrappy. And I like he has a nose for the ball. There's somebody that has a chance to play some football on Sunday.
Well, Todd, if the score holds up at 42-6 inside of a minute left, it is going to be the worst defeat for Alabama in 41 years. Give the fullback, Montoya Madden, nothing doing there. And I'm talking about that loss from 41 years ago. You hate to lose to natural rivals, people that are close to home. It was Auburn in 57, and now it is Arkansas in 98. So one more snap, it'll be all over. And the Hogs can celebrate a victorious Southeastern Conference opener here in Fayetteville. And a perfect 3-0 record for head coach Houston Nutt. Final snap for Zhao. And the Razorbacks and Arvin Richards put down after a gain of about 4. So the celebration begins. Houston Nutt is 3-0 in his first year as a Razorbacks head coach, and they got it going both sides of the ball in the second 30 minutes of play.
Well, again, it may be a little bit early, but clearly they have some terrific athletes. They're playing together, and I think the issue here is he's talked over and over again, the people are having a lot of fun.
Our final score, the Razorbacks 42, the Crimson Tide 6. From Todd Christensen and Chris Marlowe, I'm Joel Myers. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Thanks for joining us. So long, everybody, from Fayetteville. Stick around, though. Stay tuned for NFL Tonight.